into tomorrow morning. More tropical downpours.
Reddit stories, where we read Reddit stories and we freak out and we question life. Today's guests are Amanda and a special guest. Call me Chris.
What's up?
Hello.
Hey.
The theme today, in case you haven't noticed from the lighting, is a spooky. These are some spooky stories
I didn't
today.
really actually notice, but
You didn't notice that
it's
spooky
very
in
scary.
here?
The blue and green lighting.
It's very scary.
No, it's very scary. It's very
Okay.
scary.
Both of you are big fans of spooky stuff, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
I love scary stuff. I love horror movies,
Paranormal.
paranormal. I mean, being from Massachusetts,
True
everything.
crime.
True crime. Love.
Love.
We just talked about Dateline.
Love.
Hello.
Dateline, totally spooky. Hosted by a ghost.
He's alive. He's alive. He's actually
Don't you
never
ever
gonna
say
die.
Now, we're going to be reading I think there's a lot of paranormal stuff in here, a lot of supernatural stories. This all comes from Reddit, which, by the way, Chris, are you ever on Reddit?
I do go on there now once in a while because I like watching this show, and you guys introduced me to Reddit. I didn't even really
Really?
know what it was, and I was like, oh, I can go on and like read crazy stories. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I have because of you guys.
Okay.
Now I have
Look
an
at that.
unhealthy addiction because of Smosh.
Oh,
Nice.
well,
So,
good.
Yeah,
love
stay
that.
on the right subreddits, or
Yeah.
else
No, that's
it
true.
gets bad pretty
That's true.
quick.
Scary.
So most of these supernatural, there's a few that aren't supernatural, but we promise you that you will be able to sleep tonight. The way we organized it, there's some palate cleansers in there. It's gonna get spooky, but it's not gonna get like horrible.
Terrifying.
Yeah, you're not gonna feel bad, I don't think.
Okay.
I think it's just gonna be like, whoa, whoa.
Okay. I don't know. I get very involved.
Yeah,
When someone tells
emotionally.
me they're like, yeah, there was a ghost. I'm like, my whole body gets chills.
We're very empathetic.
We're very
So do you-
empathetic.
Very empathetic people.
So you both believe in ghosts?
Yes, 100%.
Yes, 100%.
100%. Whoa, wow,
Yeah.
both.
No,
Yeah.
no, there is ghosts. I'm just saying that.
They're
now.
everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a couple right in here right now, and they don't really like the lighting. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I love the lighting. I just wanted to have fun.
It's all jokes.
It's all jokes.
So, Amanda, you already know this about me,
Oh
is
my
that I am a skeptic, but I'm a skeptic because I want ghosts to be real. I hope they are.
Yeah.
I hope a lot of stuff is real, but the stuff that I hope is real, I actively
Dude, that
okay,
was a ghost.
sneeze at my beliefs.
That was a ghost.
Get out those demons. Sorry.
But whenever something happens or I hear a story, I can't help but try to be like, all right, well, what are all the explanations
That's-
for it?
that's
I
good.
don't jump to that's a ghost.
Well,
No,
that is
that's good. That's good. No, that's what you have to do. And
Yeah.
I was the same. Like you have to go into it. I mean, that means you're an intellect. You're smart.
Yeah.
You should ask questions.
it's
You
not
shouldn't
super
just
fun. It's
blindly
not-
believe everything.
Yeah.
And you like when I go ghost hunting and stuff, it's just like we're debunking 99% of the stuff. But then there's stuff that you can't, and you're just like, okay.
And that's the best part.
And that's the
When
best
you're like,
part.
I don't know if I believe it, and then someone's like, yes, and you're like, oh.
Just a heads up, these stories definitely are scary, but nobody gets harmed in any of these stories. So they're all just spooky, but we are going to put some trigger warnings up in front of some based on certain things that it alludes to or there's close calls of. Here we go. This is titled Shower Prank. It comes from Paranormal Encounters. I am a strong believer that if you acknowledge something, it gets stronger. This happened to me months ago, and I just want to put it out in the world in hopes that it takes away the temptation to bring this up to my fiance all the time. One evening after work, I went to take a shower. I will admit that I had not slept the night before, so I was incredibly tired. I had my music as loud as it would go on my phone, so I could hear it over the rushing water. About midway through, my music volume lowered to silent. I turned around to open the curtain to find out why, when my fiance pulled back the curtain a little bit, stuck his head in the shower, and grinned at me. I looked at him with confusion, and he popped his head back out before turning the light off and closing the bathroom door. To say I was furious is an
Along the coast again.
Can I
The
just
lower
say
coast, you know,
that
those,
that was my
grassy
exact
wetlands right
reaction,
down along the
Chris?
water, bordering the
Fucking,
oceans and areas where,
like, what
you've
the
got
fuck?
diverse neighborhoods. So if you're in this
Why
area,
fucking you have
you
Jumbo
need
in
to
the
take shelter
background?
and wait for the storms
She wants
to
to
pass,
fucking
as we've been dealing with some
TV
just ominous
spoiler out
guys
for
here
some
in
fucking reason.
Yeah, you can
understatement. I really don't like certain kinds of pranks. Call me lame if you want. And one involving wet and slippery darkness just hit me hard with how tired I was. I immediately stepped out of the shower, flipped the light back on, the switch is right between the shower and the door, and stormed out of the bathroom without even getting a towel. I found my fiance sitting at his computer with his headset on and absolutely laid into him. He had this confused and panicked expression as I asked why he would think that was funny, telling him to never do that again. He asked me to explain what he did wrong, which made me angrier. But when he said he had been playing since before I even went to shower, I believed him. To begin with, he hates pranks even more than I do. We've been together for 6 years, and he's never so much as jumped out from a corner to startle me, and I've never seen him mess with anyone else. He is not the type of person that would even think to do something like that, but I was so tired that none of that sank in before I lost it on him. Along with simply not being the type, the setup of the apartment would have made it impossible for him to get back to the office without me hearing him. Between the bathroom and the office, there is a noisy metal baby gate, the living room, the kitchen, and another noisy metal baby gate in the office doorway. I would have also heard his footsteps on the wooden floors if he were moving as quickly as he would have needed to. I've thought about it over and over. It's the creepiest thing that has ever happened to me, and I want to write it off as being sleep deprived, but I had to turn my music back up. I had to flip the light switch back on. I had to open the bathroom door to get out. We leave it open when we shower because it's just the two of us, and the bathroom has poor ventilation for steam. I made him check the apartment for anyone else, even though I know what he looks like, and that face was him. I asked him to stay in the bathroom with me until I washed the conditioner out of my hair. I think about this every time I shower now. We've had some random things happen before that. Stuff moving to places we know we didn't put it. Sounds we couldn't rationalize forever. The motion sensor triggering on the cameras over nothing, but nothing near this level before then. I don't know what I'm looking for here other than a moment to wring out my brain. But if anyone has had a similar experience to this misery, I would welcome some company.
Not keep us up at night. I'm destroyed after that.
I just picture a man
someone
in the
going
mirror.
like,
just, Here's Johnny.
Stop.
Like that's
Honestly, I think showering, that's scary. I mean, have you ever seen the movie Psycho? Like,
yeah.
what?
That's crazy. You got a haunted house, miss.
Also, baby gates.
They have a lot of baby gates.
They're not allowed baby gates, but
do
if
you have a baby? I was
The
wondering
level,
that too.
yeah, they never mention a baby, which is almost makes them scarier than
Yeah.
whatever demon is in their house.
Yeah.
I also like how there's multiple levels of baby gates, like
Yeah.
Area 51 for their baby.
There's a swipe card.
yeah, we have
I
high
love that.
security because our baby is.
Maybe it was the baby.
Yeah,
Was it the baby just going like,
Yeah, right?
looks just
That's
the dad has the exact
crazy.
dad's face.
That's terrifying.
scary.
Super scary. What are your initial impressions on what that would be? Do you think it's a ghost?
What's hard is that if she was deprived, fine. But if she has to turn on her phone
yeah.
and turn the light back on,
Yeah.
those
And the
things
door.
do.
It's like so many things where it's like, okay, probably
I don't
there's
know.
something paranormal going on.
I'm of the belief of like, look, if we can only assume that they're telling the truth. There's
Yeah.
the added element of, I'm being honest here, as a skeptic,
Yeah.
when I read these types of stories on Reddit, my initial impression is always like, well, I don't know who this person is, and
Yeah.
they could just write a story and
Embellish.
get karma, and that's.
So
But
yeah.
taking it as it is, and we hear this is not some insane story. I've never heard anything
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Hearing it as it is, yeah, my initial impression is, oh, you were tired, but your phone turning the volume down and the lights going off at the same time, so that's not an electrical issue, and the door shutting. There's a lot of elements happening at once.
And his face.
And
And
his
seeing
literal
his face.
face.
Wild.
Wait,
Um,
is he lying though?
She's saying it's impossible for him to
Yeah,
get back
yeah.
upstairs. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
The scariest scenario here, in my opinion, is if he did it and he's that weird.
Yeah.
Like,
your husband.
because if he just really silently, because she had to get out of there and it was dark and stuff. He
Yeah.
had time to like slowly
Yeah,
make his way
jump
up
the
and then
baby
do
But the
it.
baby gate.
But
But the
if
loud
he-
baby.
if this husband who never pranks her decided to suddenly pull an insane prank like this
Yeah.
and lie to her
Psychologically
and
mess her up.
make her believe this was real,
Yeah.
then yeah, that's also very implausible. So, I mean, what are we talking
Any
about?
updates?
Poltergeist, ghost? No, but we have some comments here. Have you ever looked into the history of the place, like who lived there before?
Oh, yeah.
OP
got it.
responded, it was originally a factory for making pots and pans.
There
Her
you go.
unit only had one previous group of tenants that destroyed the place, but nobody died. Someone else said, Hello, friend. Sounds like you have a mimic on your hands.
Yeah.
I highly recommend a spiritual cleanse of the house. If you would like traditional methods to cleanse your home and establish protection to prevent reoccurrence, please let me know. I am an interfaith minister, so please let me know if you practice a particular religion, and I can give you advice to suit. There's tons of things you can do to get rid of annoying pests like the one you have.
Isn't that creepy? It's like it's a rodent.
Yeah,
Just a
I almost
mimic.
think this person scares me more
Yeah,
than
right?
whatever mimic.
But
Yeah.
that's the
yes,
thing.
I can help you.
Hello, friend.
That's a thing. That's a thing. Like
What
at my
mimics?
girlfriend's house, Selena Spooky Boo, who's also like a YouTuber, her house is really haunted and we've ghost hunted there before. But there's been so many instances where I see her and I'm like talk to her or like and it's not her because she's in a different.
Stop.
Yeah, like there's those kind of like mimicry.
Why do they say that
ghosts.
they have mimics?
A Reddit user pulled up the definition. Usually it's a demonic or negative spirit that mimics people you love or are comfortable with so that specific energy can gain your trust and then attach itself to you.
Mhm.
Okay. I want to point something out. Mimics, that's not really the correct definition of a mimic. As I've had a mimic or two myself. Now, of what they are just something that in your mind that can be checked and be like, oh, I can trust this person. You know, they say who they do say or whoever the fuck they are. But then when you really think about it, it's like they just fucking disappear as if they were never fucking there. Right? But then the real person walks in and is like, you give them a weird look of like, were you just here? They'll be like, what the fuck do you mean? Like I said, I've had that in my life before. Well, mimics don't just do that, but they also intentionally will be as a imposter. Like, they look like you, they sound just like you, they say exactly what the original person would say that you know of. Same voice, same tone, same fucking everything. Like, almost as it's like a fucking clone. So that's pretty much what a mimic is. If you don't see the mimic, but you can hear it, that's also a problem. Because, well, in my experience, right? So, waking up in an empty house where in my mind, somewhere in my mind, I knew somehow that, I'm home alone. Everyone else is at work, right? But then once you hear the voice, but you don't see it, you start to think like, why aren't they at work? I thought, they should be at work. Why are they home early? And you hear that voice, so you go to ask a question back as if, like, if they say your name or they call your name, you say yeah, but you don't hear a response back. That puts you into a thing in the back of your head of, okay, maybe they didn't just hear me, right? Maybe they're doing something as they were gonna try to ask me a question. So you open up, the door or whatever, and you repeat what you said louder, like the word yeah, but like 10 times louder so they can fucking hear you, and then no response. So maybe that makes you now think, I wonder if they've got headphones on and they're listening to music or a book or something, right? And they're all the way downstairs or something in the house, somewhere in the house. Well, once you go and investigate, um, like you're going up and down the stairs, checking every room, basement, fucking everywhere. You open up the door to outside, maybe in the backyard, maybe they're in the backyard. You look around, they're not. You go out front, and they're not out front, the car is gone. That's what mimics do. They might want to make you think as if they were there, but they're really fucking not. So you become it itself becomes a investigation. So they like to play tricks and games with you, especially as a form, or at least trying to mimic the form of you in person as well. Because I did ask my mom that one time, hey, did you just call my name? And she said no, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's what mimics do. Alright, that's a one huge thing the mimics will do. Fuck, she's coming back. The other thing that mimics will do is your appearance. My mom will ask me, didn't you or weren't you just in the kitchen? And I'm like, no, what the fuck do you mean? You know? Like, no, I don't. Like, I've been up here by myself the entire fucking day. So, that's another thing of what the mimics do. She's about to fucking walk into
Um,
Oh,
We
Okay.
did like a whole seance to get rid of it and everything. It was intense.
and did you?
And yeah, I think so. It hasn't shown up since we did it, and that was like a couple months ago.
Did anything happen during the seance?
No, nothing like of note. It was just really creepy.
The mimic's like, no.
That's what we do on Tuesdays.
no."
Anyway,
I
I love that. Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
yeah, we like walked around our whole property with salt. We like saged everything. We lit a fire. We like threw stuff in the fire. It
I
was wild.
love that shit.
Yeah, we should do stuff.
I
like
would
that.
love to.
there's the added level of ghosts, and then demons.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
as a whole nother level.
Super scary.
Super scary.
This is the type of thinking that I have. Like, right, if this happened to me,
Yeah.
right? So where I'm like, okay, I can't deny that I witnessed this thing. But I'm also, like I said, I try to believe everything. I used to have this theory that I would think about when I was a teenager and I was really into this stuff of, what if time, is the true detective thing, time is a flat circle.
and it's not her because she's in a different.
Stop.
Into this stuff of, what if time, is the
Trying to
Business.
infiltrate my body.
Mimics.
Mimics.
Like, I automatically go to the scary thing.
Yeah, me too, me too.
first.
there's a lot of discussion here, and someone sources
Cat
Yes, of course. Yes. They come. Was sage.
Yeah.
And then
Come check
Sure.
out my refrigerator, please.
That's a wild one.
Crazy.
Mimic. All right,
That's scary.
Yeah.
That first one is.
next one. Let's see what it is. Am I the asshole for not caring or saying that my apartment is haunted to a new roommate?
Okay.
Hilarious.
Oh boy, where do I even begin with this one? First off, this post isn't about the science or lack thereof of what the paranormal is or isn't. I want to be somewhat distanced from that. I've lived here for about 2 years. One night, a couple months into my lease, when I was about to fall asleep on the couch, I heard what sounded like a mechanical tune from a children's toy chest
Oh baby, I'm excited.
I am pumped. I'm so ready for it.
This is
Creepcast.
a good first episode to start with. I'm glad you suggested this.
Yeah, like it's foundational to a ton of internet horror, and also like it's just a cool story to analyze, right? Like the
Honey, you look like shit.
Yeah, I haven't been getting very good sleep.
Oh, really? Have you been having nightmares or something?
Actually, yeah, I have. The same one every night, which is weird.
Oh, well, why don't you tell me about it?
Well, it starts with a truck just on this dirt road.
Wow, that was spooky, Hunter.
Yeah.
Well, at least you have dreams. I don't dream at all.
Winslow, hold that thought. I wonder what people dream about. Real human beings and not gross computer people like yourself. I bet people post it online all the time. I have to go find out.
I hate you.
Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? Come on in and sit on down because today we're talking about nightmares. More importantly, we're talking about people's nightmares online. It's pretty funny. People post their nightmares all the time. I love hearing about people's nightmares because mostly they're chaotic and stupid. What other crazy things can your mind do? It just simply tortures you. It's our fears manifesting themselves into our subconscious. It's crazy. It's metal. It's deranged. It's kind of crazy because they can be about all sorts of things. Maybe a home invader. You ever have someone breaking your house? I have. It's terrible. Very scary. Or someone hacking up your body, which is very gory. Oddly enough, not as scary as a home invader. You could combine the two, and then it's a real nightmare. Other times, it's just, you know, your teeth falling out, maybe a giant bug attacking you, or maybe you're naked at school, right? My worst nightmare would probably be if I was like in a pit of snakes, or if it was one giant snake. I don't like snakes. Anything involving snakes, I don't like. Today's video is sponsored by our partners over at Factor. Are you looking to eat healthier but don't have the time? Well, Factor is here for you. Factor is a subscription service that brings nutritious meals to your door. All you need is 2 minutes to heat, eat, and enjoy. Factor has been my go-to dinner when I'm working at the studio. I like it because the food is restaurant quality, but it's quick and easy to clean up. Plus, Factor is flexible, so I can adjust my order sizes as I need to without any hassle. And with over 35 meals to choose from each week and specialty options like keto, calorie smart, and vegan, you're sure to find a dish that works for you. During the week, it's hard to keep up with everything, so skip the grocery store lines, the prep work, and cooking fatigue, and just get Factor! Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code PAPAMeat50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month's order. That's code PAPAMeat50 at Factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video, and back to the video. I think before we dive into it, we need to ask ourselves, why? Why do we even have dreams? Have you even thought about that? I haven't really thought about it, so I looked into it. And this is what I came up with. Everyone experiences nightmares periodically, but only 2 to 8% of the adult population is plagued with persistent nightmares, which is Nick behind the camera. I don't think there's been a single day he hasn't come in and he's like, I slept bad. I was having nightmares. My dog woke me up. And they are often brought up by stress and anxiety, but many factors can induce an episode, such as drugs and medications, eating habits, sleep deprivation, and mental health conditions. Nick, I need you to blatantly say that this is a fine work environment.
This is a lovely work environment. I had nightmares before I worked here, so.
You could have not have said that with more uncertainty and like it was more of a script. People are going to think this is a nightmare scenario. In the past, nightmares were considered a source of bad energy, and people who had them were in desperate need of spiritual cleansing, which I'm asking the viewers now. Is that you? Are you that person? Go with Christ. Light up some sage and put on a Shannon Blake song. Other people consider bad dreams a premonition for things to come. Which actually, coincidentally, the word mare in nightmare comes from an old Anglo-Saxon term for goblin, old hag, fiend, or demon that would sit on the person's chest, cause them to have bad dreams. And then also, Adam, you know Adam, the one from the fucking Bible. Adam's first wife, Lilith, was the original nightmare. Lilith means night monster or night hag in Hebrew. I like that. I'm gonna start calling my wife Lilith. She's a raven-haired demon who preys on helpless newborn infants and seduces unsuspecting men using their wasted seed to spawn hordes of demon babies. This is also the origin of the succubus. Oh. A nice little succubus. Why not? There's a similar story in the Epic of Gilgamesh where demons hunt pregnant women, kidnap newborn infants, and have wild sex with men after pinning them down. Dude, I need to read me some Epic of Gilgamesh, dude. The most common themes in dreams, it goes as followed. Showing up late, losing teeth, having insufficient clothing, you know, being naked in school. I never understood that. Why would I care? People see I have a small cock. I didn't grow my dick, dude. It's not like I was like, oh, I thought I was supposed to buy a big one. Feeling trapped or unable to move or make noise. Realizing that you are about to crash a car. Falling down. Missing a flight. Forgetting one's luggage. Showing up unprepared for a presentation. Before we dive into all the internet's craziest nightmares here, I think it would be a good idea to have the man who runs the camera, the man behind the camera, he's laughs like an old woman. He's going to come out and tell you some of his dreams, because if I have to endure it every day, so do you. So, Nick, come on down.
Hi, Hunter.
Hey, Nick.
Hi.
Okay, so we're doing a video about the nightmares, you know, so
Yeah.
why don't you tell people about just a couple of your nightmares that you've had recently?
So I keep a nightmare journal because they have it so often. I had a dream where I was walking with my brother, my parents, and my other brother were outside for some reason. Then I clicked the mouse, and then my 17-year-old dog fell from the roof and exploded on the pavement.
What do you mean you clicked a mouse?
I was probably at my desk, and I was just like, probably like trying to do something.
Oh, so your dog exploded.
Yeah. And it was very sad. I cried in my dream, and I woke up probably sad too because he's 17 years old. We'll show a picture of him. He's beautiful.
Let's say what we should do. This dog needs to be put down.
No.
Imagine being a dog what's wrong with He's blind.
He's blind. He has no teeth. He can't hear.
So he's deaf, blind, and dumb. It's Helen Keller, the dog,
Okay.
who's lived way past what he should have lived.
Did we put down Helen Keller though?
She's a human being, Nick.
Okay, well. Says, I had a quick sleep paralysis dream. I don't remember much. I was chewing gum and it was sticking to my teeth. It was so sticky that I couldn't get off my teeth. And when I tried lifting open my mouth, I could feel my teeth being pulled out from my gums. I stuck my finger in my mouth and tried scraping it off, but to no avail. I only remember the tail end where I couldn't move and everything was pitch black. For whatever reason, I decided I wanted to kill myself so bad I held my breath. This woke me up. Now I know a trick to end my sleep paralysis dreams.
I always forget that you have sleep paralysis.
Also, I believe the reason I had the gum bit was because of my clear braces in my mouth. So I like clear cracks.
Oh, I see.
I think in the dream I was so depressed because I was like, oh, I'm ruined. Just my teeth. I might have sleep apnea because.
You definitely have sleep apnea. You 100% have sleep apnea.
Right, so this one's from 2017, December again.
2 days after
2
Christmas.
days after Christmas. What is up with Christmas?
I don't, you tell me.
This was a really long dream. I was at a school with a giant pyramid, and I used to be a custodian before I was working with Hunter. Like,
I hired a janitor.
all of a sudden, panic struck everybody around us. People were running and hiding around the pyramid building. I could hear people saying, he's coming this way, hurry, run. I didn't know what was going on, so I ran faster.
This is a school shooting at Nightmare.
Yeah. As I'm about to turn the corner, the people running to my side duck in some bushes. Out of fear, I began to follow, but it's too late. A guy with a gun is right at the corner. My heart stops as I slip and roll into a bush. My whole body freezes as I lay face up on the bush, hoping this guy doesn't shoot me. He's staring right at me. He's got a snapback hat turned to the side with sandy blonde beard and saggy pants. He then points his gun at me and shoots me 3 times in the chest.
I hope he doesn't shoot me. I'll immediately shoot you in the chest 3 times.
At first, I don't feel anything. Then a warm sensation slowly washes over me as the blood begins seeping out of my wounds. I clutch my wounds, thinking I can hold in my blood and stop myself from bleeding out. My vision becomes to blur as I lay there telling myself I'll be fine.
I love the idea of a guy getting shot and he's like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. Holding his chest.
Finally, he looks at me. He sees I'm still alive. He begins to circle around the bush. For a second, I believe he's about to walk away. Suddenly, he points his gun at me. In this moment, I lose all hope of surviving. He aims his gun at my knee and pulls the trigger. Sharp pains surge through my body. He points a piece at my crotch.
What are you processing in your head, dude?
Still thinking I'll make it out alive, I foolishly guard my believing that'll stop the bullet or at least stop him from shooting. This does nothing. He shoots my off. That's my dreams.
Harry, you want to come down and say one of your dreams?
What are you guys doing up? Just talking about our nightmares.
Talking about our nightmares. Do you have any nightmares that you want to talk about?
I usually don't have nightmares, but I have had sleep paralysis a few times. It usually actually happens during naps. A couple times I thought I died because I felt my whole body like shuddering, like a takeoff of a rocket, and I just shot up straight into the air, and then everything went white, and then I kind of woke up like gasping, and I thought I died. It was very scary. No, I'm in sleep paralysis, and you just sit there and you kind of just wait until it releases you. It's honestly terrible.
That's horrible. I don't know why my crew is so plagued with night terrors, dude. Well, okay. Well, thanks guys for stopping by. I guess you can go back to whatever room you're sleeping in. I think it's really cute that we all have the same outfit, though.
This is a coincidence.
Yeah, this actually, we didn't plan this at all.
All right. Good night.
It's morning, but that's all
Oh,
right.
good morning. Oh, I'm going back to bed. Hell yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, well then let's get into some random people. I asked people on my Instagram, my Twitter, my Twitty, and also patron members, all random people online who follow me, what some of their nightmares were, and these were some of the nightmares that we got in. Man, okay. When I was like 7, I had a dream. I was in a gymnasium and there was a science fair happening. My mom and dad took me to evil science projects, like ants getting force-fed to spiders or lightning being made into skinny monsters. One thing really freaked me out. There was this old leathery man, skin and bone, moles from hell and back, and the white stringy long hair dangled down, and he wore a blue suit. He sat in this giant chair wrapped with this generator thing, and it was electrifying him, like frying him. His mouth was chattering, opening and closing really fast. His teeth making this clacking noise, and you can see every tooth. Scared the dick out of me, so I immediately ran. The old man lunged out of his chair and said, "Hey, buddy!" I woke up in a fully pissed bed. I don't think you had to include the fully pissed bed part, but I appreciate it. Also, this sounds like the ramblings of a child who went to a Spirit Halloween store and saw one of those animatronics. Whenever I'd get stressed out, I'd have a reoccurring nightmare that I was trapped in a room with nothing in it. I was usually naked. And as I tried to find a way out, I'd begin to notice bugs creeping in from the cracks in the walls. I was terrified of bugs back then. They filled the room rapidly and soon began crawling on my skin. I would brush them off in a frenzy and keep trying to unveil my escape route. Eventually, I couldn't keep them at bay. It would bite my skin and I would cry, except whenever I opened my mouth to scream, the bugs would rush in and I would choke until I woke up. The sound of their carapaces scraping together, the skittering noises of their legs, the feel of them on my skin. I still feel the fear thinking about it. That's pretty messed up. The idea that whenever you scream, the bugs crawl in. I've never really gave a about the bugs. You know what I do? I'd eat those motherfuckers. They crawl in my mouth, I'd chomp them down. When I was like 7, I had a nightmare about my family beating me with sticks. And just that. Your nightmare was just your family beating the hell out of you with sticks. It was pretty funny. My 7-year-old morbidly obese self laying in front of our garage, being beaten with random thick sticks by my mom, dad, and sister. I still don't know why I had that nightmare. My family IRL are really nice people. I doubt it, dude. If your family's nice, you don't have dreams about them beating the shit out of you, dude. When I was younger, a kid drowned at the pool across from my house. Me and my mom saw the dead kid from the porch. What? And every night I had a nightmare about the kid getting stuck under the ladder he died on and screaming my name from under the water, gripping his chest like he couldn't breathe. Then I tried to help him and he would always end up dying anyway. Every once in a while, I had the dream and it still creeps me out. This is the confession of a man who, as a child, watched a kid drown and did absolutely nothing to help him. When I was pregnant, I had a dream where I gave birth to a litter of puppies in secret. Or is this a dog? A litter of puppies? I tried to hide them away, and a raccoon ate them. I cried so hard, I ended up giving birth to another litter before I woke up. The crazy thing is that I hate dogs in real life. She shit a litter of puppies from her. I think she just wants to be a dog. Bitch sold Airbud and was just like, sign me up. When I was around 5 years old, I had a vivid nightmare where I was stuck inside of a Blockbuster. That sounds like heaven. It sounds like a fantasy. Got all the cookie dough bites you can have and all the movies you could watch. There was a man near me that would rip off the skin of his face. And whenever he ripped off the skin, he would proceed to eat a person near him in a single bite. He did this about 5 times before it was just me and him. Once I noticed it was just us, I was finally let out of the store, but he started to chase me down running on all fours. The dream ended with him about to
So I'm getting myself a pedicure. What's up?
catch me. One bite.
That's vor shit, dude.
That is vor. This is a 5-year-old child fantasizing about vor. This is why the internet's a bad thing. Once I had a dream where I was sitting cross-legged alone in a dark room. There's enough light to see around me, but anything beyond my immediate vicinity was just darkness. And in my laps was a rusty metal bucket that I was hunched over. I was sobbing uncontrollably while I dug my fingers into
So
my
this is
mouth.
what Mimic
No
is?
consistency of
Well, sorry, start it over. I'm late for class anyway. Now play.
Oh, honey, you look like shit.
Yeah, I haven't been getting very good sleep.
Oh,
Really? You're
have you been having nightmares or something?
Actually, yeah, I have.
big
the
baby.
same one
Send
every
me the
night,
damn
which is
video.
weird.
Oh, well, why don't you tell me about it?
Well, it starts with a
Why not?
truck just on this dirt road.
Okay. What is this weirdness in the hell?
Wow, that was spooky, Hunter.
Yeah.
Well, at least you have dreams. I don't dream at all.
Winslow, hold that thought. I wonder what people dream about. Real human beings and not gross computer people like yourself. I bet people post it online all the time. I have to go find out.
I hate you.
Welcome back to the Papa Meat Channel. How you doing? How you doing? Come on in and sit on down because today we're talking about nightmares. More importantly, we're talking about people's nightmares online. It's pretty funny. People post their nightmares all the time. I love hearing about people's nightmares because mostly they're chaotic and stupid. What other crazy things can your mind do? It just simply tortures you. It's our fears manifesting themselves into our subconscious. It's crazy. It's metal. It's deranged. It's kind of crazy because they can be about all sorts of things. Maybe a home invader. You ever have someone breaking your house? I have. It's terrible. It's very scary. Or someone hacking up your body, which is very gory. Oddly enough, not as scary as a home invader. You could combine the two and then it's a real nightmare. Other times it's just, you know, your teeth falling out, maybe a giant bug attacking you, or maybe you're naked at school, right? My worst nightmare would probably be if I was like in a pit of snakes, or if it was one giant snake. I don't like snakes. Anything involving snakes, I don't like. Today's video is sponsored by our partners over at Factor. Are you looking to eat healthier but don't have the time? Well, Factor is here for you. Factor is a subscription service that brings...
For him, not for you. Keep going. By the way,
nutritious meals to your door. All you need is 2 minutes to heat, eat, and enjoy. Factor has been my go-to dinner when I'm working at the studio. I like it because the food is restaurant quality, but it's quick and easy to clean up. Plus, Factor is flexible, so I can adjust my order sizes as I need to without any hassle. And with over 35 meals to choose from each week and specialty options like keto, calorie smart, and vegan, you're sure to find a dish that works for you. During the week, it's hard to keep up with everything, so skip the grocery store lines, the prep work, and cooking fatigue, and just get Factor! Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code PAPAMEAT50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month's order. That's code PAPAMEAT50 at Factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video, and back to the video. I think before we dive into it, we need to ask ourselves, why? Why do we even have dreams? Have you even thought about that? I haven't really thought about it, so I looked into it. And this is what I came up with. Everyone experiences nightmares periodically, but only 2 to 8% of the adult population is plagued with persistent nightmares, which is Nick behind the camera. I don't think there's been a single day as I come in and he's like, I slept bad. I was having nightmares. My dog woke me up. And they are often brought up by stress and anxiety, but many factors can induce an episode, such as drugs and medications, eating habits, sleep deprivation, and mental health conditions. Nick, I need you to blatantly say that this is a fine work environment.
This is a lovely work environment. I had nightmares before I worked here, so.
You could have not have said that with more uncertainty and like it was more of a script. People are going to think this is a nightmare scenario. In the past, nightmares were considered a source of bad energy, and people who had them were in desperate need of spiritual cleansing, which I'm asking the viewers now. Is that you? Are you that person? Go with Christ. Light up some sage and put on a Shannon Blake song. Other people consider bad dreams a premonition for things to come. Which actually, coincidentally, the word mare in nightmare comes from an old Anglo-Saxon term for goblin, old hag, fiend, or demon that would sit on the person's chest, cause them to have bad dreams. And then also, Adam, you know Adam, the one from the f***ing Bible, Adam's first wife, Lilith, was the original nightmare. Lilith means night monster or night hag in Hebrew. I like that. I'm gonna start calling my wife Lilith. She's a raven-haired demon who preys on helpless newborn infants and seduces unsuspecting men using their wasted seed to spawn hordes of demon babies. This is also the origin of the succubus. Huh. A nice little succubus. Why not? There's a similar story in the Epic of Gilgamesh where demons hunt pregnant women, kidnap newborn infants, and have wild sex with men after pinning them down. Dude, I need to read me some Epic of Gilgamesh, dude. The most common themes in dreams it goes as followed: showing up late, losing teeth, having insufficient clothing, being naked in school. I never understood that. Why would I care? People say I have a small cock. I didn't grow my dick, dude. It's not like I was like, oh, I thought I was supposed to buy a big one. Feeling trapped or unable to move or make noise. Realizing that you are about to crash a car. Falling down. missing a flight, forgetting one's luggage, showing up unprepared for a presentation. Before we dive into all the internet's craziest nightmares here, I think it would be a good idea to have the man who runs the camera, the man behind the camera. He's laughs like an old woman. He's going to come out and tell you some of his dreams, because if I have to endure it every day, so do you. So Nick, come on down.
Hi, Hunter.
Hey, Nick.
Hi.
Okay, so we're doing a video about the nightmares, so
Yeah.
why don't you tell people about just a couple of your nightmares that you've had recently?
So I keep a nightmare journal because they have it so often. I had a dream where I was walking with my brother, my parents, and my other brother were outside for some reason. Then I clicked the mouse, and then my 17-year-old dog fell from the roof and exploded on the pavement.
What do you mean you clicked the mouse?
I was probably at my desk, and I was just probably trying to do something.
Oh, so your dog exploded.
Yeah. And it was very sad. I cried in my dream, and I woke up probably sad too because he's 17 years old. We'll show a picture of him. He's beautiful.
Let's say what we should do. This dog needs to be put down.
No.
Imagine being a dog what's wrong with He's blind.
He's blind. He has no teeth. He can't hear.
So he's deaf, blind, and dumb. It's Helen Keller, the dog, who's lived way past what he should have lived.
Did we put down Helen Keller though?
She's a human being, Nick.
Okay, well. Says, I had a quick sleep paralysis dream. I don't remember much. I was chewing gum and it was sticking to my teeth. It was so sticky that I couldn't get off my teeth. And when I tried lifting open my mouth, I could feel my teeth being pulled out from my gums. I stuck my finger in my mouth and tried scraping it off, but to no avail. I only remember the tail end where I couldn't move and everything was pitch black. For whatever reason, I decided I wanted to kill myself so bad I held my breath. This woke me up. Now I know a trick to end my sleep paralysis dreams.
I always forget that you have sleep paralysis.
Also, I believe the reason I had the gum bit was because of my clear braces in my mouth. So like clear crowns.
Oh, I see.
I think in the dream I was so depressed because I was like, oh, I'm ruined. Just my teeth. I might have sleep apnea because
you definitely have sleep apnea. You 100% have sleep apnea.
All right, so this one's from 2017, December again.
2 days after
2
Christmas.
days after Christmas. What is up with Christmas?
I don't, you tell me.
This was a really long dream. I was at a school with a giant pyramid, and I used to be a custodian before I was working with Hunter.
I hired a janitor.
All of a sudden, panic struck everybody around us. People were running and hiding around the pyramid building. I could hear people saying, he's coming this way, hurry, run. I didn't know what was going on, so I ran faster.
This is a school shooting at nightmare.
Yeah. As I'm about to turn the corner, the people running to my side duck in some bushes. Out of fear, I began to follow, but it's too late. A guy with a gun is right at the corner. My heart stops as I slip and roll into a bush. My whole body freezes as I lay face up on the bush, hoping this guy doesn't shoot me. He's staring right at me. He's got a snapback hat turned to the side with sandy blonde beard and saggy pants. He then points his gun at me and shoots me 3 times in the chest.
I hope he doesn't shoot me. I'll immediately shoot you in the chest 3 times.
At first, I don't feel anything. Then a warm sensation slowly washes over me as the blood begins seeping out of my wounds. I clutch my wounds thinking I can hold in my blood and stop myself from bleeding out. My vision becomes to blur as I lay there telling myself I'll be fine.
I love the idea of a guy getting shot and he's like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. Holding his chest.
Finally, he looks at me. He sees I'm still alive. He begins to circle around the bush. For a second, I believe he's about to walk away. Suddenly, he points his gun at me. In this moment, I lose all hope of surviving. He aims his gun at my knee and pulls the trigger. Sharp pains surge through my body. He points a piece at my crotch.
What are you processing in your head, dude?
Still thinking I'll make it out alive, I foolishly guard my believing that'll stop the bullet or at least stop him from shooting. This does nothing. He shoots my off. That's my
Excuse me?
dreams.
Harry, you want to come down and say one of your dreams?
What are you guys doing? Just talking about our nightmares.
Talking about our nightmares. Do you have any nightmares that you want to talk about?
I usually don't have nightmares, but I have had sleep paralysis a few times. It usually actually happens during naps. A couple times I thought I died because I felt my whole body shuddering like a takeoff of a rocket, and I just shot up straight into the air, and then everything went white, and then I kind of woke up like gasping, and I thought I died. It was very scary. No, I'm in sleep paralysis, and you just sit there and you kind of just wait until it releases you. It's honestly terrible.
That's horrible. You both. I don't know why my crew is so plagued with night terrors, dude. Well, okay. Well, thanks guys for stopping by. I guess you can go back to whatever room you're sleeping in. I think it's really cute that we all have the same outfit, though.
This was a coincidence.
Yeah, this actually, we didn't plan this at all.
All right. Good night.
It's morning, but that's
Oh,
all right.
good morning. Oh, I'm going back to bed. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, well then let's get into some random people. I asked people on my Instagram, my Twitter, my Twitty, and also patron members, all random people online who follow me, what some of their nightmares were, and these were some of the nightmares that we got in. Man, okay. When I was like 7, I had a dream. I was in a gymnasium and there was a science fair happening. My mom and dad took me to evil science projects, like ants getting force-fed to spiders or lightning being made into skinny monsters. One thing really freaked me out. There was this old leathery man, skin and bone, moles from hell and back, and the white stringy long hair dangled down, and he wore a blue suit. He sat in this giant chair wrapped with this generator thing, and it was electrifying him, like frying him. His mouth was chattering, opening and closing really fast. His teeth making this clacking noise, and you can see every tooth. Scared the dick out of me, so I immediately ran. The old man lunged out of his chair and said, "Hey, buddy!" And I woke up in a fully pissed bed. I don't think you had to include the fully pissed bed part, but I appreciate it. Also, this sounds like the ramblings of a child who went to a Spirit Halloween store and saw one of those animatronics. Whenever I'd get stressed out, I'd have a reoccurring nightmare that I was trapped in a room with nothing in it. I was usually naked. And as I tried to find a way out, I'd begin to notice bugs creeping in from the cracks in the walls. I was terrified of bugs back then. They filled the room rapidly and soon began crawling on my skin. I would brush them off in a frenzy and keep trying to unveil my escape route. Eventually, I couldn't keep them at bay. They would bite my skin and I would cry, except whenever I opened my mouth to scream, the bugs would rush in and I would choke until I woke up. The sound of their carapaces scraping together, the skittering noises of their legs, the feel of them on my skin. I still feel the fear thinking about it. That's pretty messed up. The idea that whenever you scream, the bugs crawl in. I'd never really give a about the bugs. You know what I do? I'd eat those motherfuckers. They crawl in my mouth, I'd chomp them down. When I was like 7, I had a nightmare about my family beating me with sticks. And just that. Your nightmare was just your family beating the hell out of you with sticks. It was pretty funny. My 7-year-old morbidly obese self laying in front of our garage, being beaten with random thick sticks by my mom, dad, and sister. I still don't know why I had that nightmare. My family IRL are really nice people. I doubt it, dude. If your family's nice, you don't have dreams about them beating the shit out of you, dude. When I was younger, a kid drowned at the pool across from my house. Me and my mom saw the dead kid from the porch. What? And every night I had a nightmare about the kid getting stuck under the ladder he died on and screaming my name from under the water, gripping his chest like he couldn't breathe. Then I tried to help him and he would always end up dying anyway. Every once in a while, I have the dream and it still creeps me out. This is the confession of a man who, as a child, watched a kid drown and did absolutely nothing to help him. When I was pregnant, I had a dream where I gave birth to a litter of puppies in secret. Or is this a dog? A litter of puppies? I tried to hide them away and a raccoon ate them. I cried so hard, I ended up giving birth to another litter before I woke up. The crazy thing is that I hate dogs in real life. She shit a litter of puppies from her I think she just wants to be a dog. Bitch saw Airbud and was just like, sign me up. When I was around 5 years old, I had a vivid nightmare where I was stuck inside of a Blockbuster. That sounds like heaven. It sounds like a fantasy. Got all the cookie dough bites you can have and all the movies you can watch. There was a man near me that would rip off the skin of his face. And whenever he ripped off the skin, he would proceed to eat a person near him in a single bite. He did this about 5 times before it was just me and him. Once I noticed it was just us, I was finally let out of the store, but he started to chase me down running on all fours. The dream ended with him about to catch me. One bite.
That's vor shit, dude.
That is vor. This is a 5-year-old child fantasizing about vor. This is why the internet's a bad thing. Once I had a dream where I was sitting cross-legged alone in a dark room. There's enough light to see around me, but anything beyond my immediate vicinity was just darkness. And in my laps was a rusty metal bucket that I was hunched over. I was sobbing uncontrollably while I dug my fingers into my mouth. The gums had the consistency of warm butter, and I scraped globs of blood, flesh, and teeth out of my mouth and shook them off my fingers in the bucket. Then I woke up. That is vile. I love that. First off, that description is sick. I mean, if as a nightmare, it's horrible, but you know, it's a cool writing. Next, let's go to the public. This is where we started researching shit outside of people sending me stuff, and we dug deep. And first off, I checked my own Reddit, and on my own Reddit, I did find this post, and I thought it was pretty funny. Dream I had. I dreamt that Papa Meat came into my room and stood over me, like pretended to cut my eyes out, all while whispering in this creepy voice. Then he takes out his phone and shows me footage of him running around my front lawn in a bathrobe. While he's doing this, another guy walks in, sees him hunched over me with the phone, and goes, "Is he your monitor?" What the fuck am I supposed to do with that? Hey, psycho, don't post that shit on my subreddit anymore, you psychopath. I don't like the idea of other people dreaming about me. I'll tell you one time, it was actually kind of weird. One of my teachers in high school said he had a dream about me. That felt inappropriate, right?
That feels weird.
At the time, I was like, no way, that's cool. So it's like when I was 10 years old, I had a nightmare that involved Barney the dinosaur crying, holding a butcher knife, and chasing after me while shouting, "You don't love me" anymore in his voice. Write that down for a Me Candy video. On a somewhat similar note, I distinctly remember a nightmare from when I was a kid, all in black and white, where Goofy's glove floated around my dad's workshop trying to strangle me, just the gloves. Write that down again for the Me Candy video. When I was younger, I watched the movie It on public television, and it scared the shit out of me. And I remember when I used to get scared when I was younger, I would go into my mom's room and I'd lay on the floor next to her bed. And I remember so vividly, I can still remember it now. I woke up and it was like as if it wasn't like a dream world. I legitimately thought I was awake, and I was like looking around and I saw the like in the foreground, and it was like I couldn't see his eyes or face, but I saw the rim light of the moon on his back of his head, whatever. I just reached my hand out forward, and then I just heard this like crunching, gnarling sound, like that. And I remember I brought my hand back, and my hand was totally gone, and it was just like tendons coming out of my wrist, whatever. And I was like, ah! I woke up. You want to say another dream, Nick? Okay, go ahead.
I was 8 years old, and Martin Luther King Jr. got assassinated again. And then in that same dream, there's a kid who he got sucked through the toilet in the pipes.
I'm sorry, the MLK thing really fucked me up. What a weird dream for a child to have, that Martin Luther King Jr. gets assassinated again. I have a lot of nightmares growing up. Being 27, have left most behind me. One that was constant for a few years was Humpty Dumpty. Yes, the weird Eggman version of the old poem. He was about 7 feet tall and was trying to torture and kill me. 7 foot tall Eggman. I was hiding in a room in my house, and my parents sat blankly, staring at nothing, not caring on my impending doom. He would run up, and I could see his creepy, demented face through the window. He would run in and be very quiet, just searching. On occasion, he would find me, and I'd wake up, sometimes screaming. I was horrified as a kid. When I think of it now, it was definitely one of the weird nightmares I've had. Every story I've heard of this bitch, he like falls and cracks. I feel like I just push him over. Put up a picture of what the demented face would be. And then put like a little window and have him like look over real quick. Whoever's editing this, I want you to use your own voice to say, "I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm an egg." Here's a little backstory. When I was little, I loved bagel bites. Dude, who doesn't like bagel bites still? We gotta get some bagel bites for the fucking stew here. Are you kidding me? This is the only way to eat a bagel bite. You cook it, it's gonna be molten lava hot,
Excuse
right?
me,
You
I
wait
did
about
have
15
bagel
seconds.
bites, and they are
You don't
delicious.
bite into the bagel. You scrape off the topping with your teeth, all of it, and then you bite the bagel. I ate bagel bites for lunch and dinner all the time. I remember being in my house being hungry. I went to my freezer and found it stockpiled with bagel bites, which was normal. Trust me, we were a Bagel Bites family. I take several boxes out and put 120 Bagel Bites on 4 trays and put them in the oven at 500 degrees. I closed the door and left. And then I remember thinking,
Oh, crud. I left the bagel bites in the oven.
I scurry to the oven and open up the door, and I just see the Bagel Bites that are burnt to a crisp with cheese melting off and falling off the bagels. If this is where the dream ends, I would actually say it's a nightmare. Wasting that many precious golden Bagel Bites. I begin to panic, thinking of consequences of the mess I've made. I close the oven and go for a towel. I hear loud breaking noise. I realize that it's so hot in the oven that the light bulb inside burst. I rush back to the oven and open it up, the most terrifying thing I've encountered in a dream. When I open it up, there's a block of cheese the size of an entire oven melting all over the place. That's when I woke up. It seems like the most irrational fear, but now I can't eat Bagel Bites. It scarred me for life. More for us. You know, one time my sisters, we were making caramel corn, and she put 2 of the caramel corn things in the microwave to heat up, but they were still in the metal packaging, and it fucking like blew up the microwave. So funny.
Oh, God!
And my dad was like, "Son of a bitch! God damn it, Haley!"
Hey.
And I said, so Bagel Bites, anyone? Did that come for full circle okay?
Yeah.
I spent 35 years in my dream. I'm going and saying, "Hi, I'm 20 years old right now, and I spent 35 years in my dream." At first, I woke up in my dream, and I realized it was a dream since I can't remember where I was before. Is that just a way to know that it was a dream? Okay. Then I woke up again in real life, and I proceeded my normal daily life as the same. I married my current girlfriend. I got promoted, traveled throughout the world, and even had a daughter in my dream. I even remember my wife's pregnancy, how she acted and the daughter's personality was. She tried to convince me I'm not dreaming, using exact quotes she's using right now. Then I died in this dream from a heart attack at 55. God, dude. You chain smoking cigarettes and eating donuts, you fat and I woke up in real life. My sense of reality is basically shattered. I keep having derealizations and feel like I was given a second chance in life. I don't know if everything around me is real or not. I'm about to lose my mind. Any advice? Imagine living a full life in your dream and you wake up. Would you not just be completely scarred, actually?
I had something similar.
I'm just going to start calling you dream catcher. Is what I'm going. After all these, you're just like, yeah, that's also happened to me. How did that happen to you, Nick?
This one, when I was dreaming, it felt like an eternity, but it was the same beats. Like I finished school, met a girl, fell in love. We had 3 kids. One of the kids died. And then we were old and dying. I woke up and then I was super depressed because I was like, oh my God.
After hearing all of these things, especially hearing my cameraman have a mental breakdown on camera as well, maybe you're not having nightmares and you want one. Well, here's some techniques to induce some nightmares, okay? Some people try and induce nightmares the same way some people try to induce lucid dreaming, which we'll get into lucid dreaming here in a second. So why would you want this? Well, some people maybe just want to have a weird experience, all right? Why do people do meth, right? To escape reality. Probably not a good comparison. So anyways, here's some ways to induce some nightmares. You know what I mean? So immersing yourself in scary/horror media.
Copper.
Watch a bunch of scary movies. Interact with Nick. Waking yourself up. Use of alarms, as having interrupted sleep tends to cause bad dreams. So basically use alarms when you try to wake yourself up, because whenever you wake yourself up abruptly like that, you usually tend to have a nightmare. I didn't say this, just Neil deGrasse Tyson did. Eating spicy food before bed. No wonder, Nick. No f***ing wonder you have so much nightmares, dude. That's all you eat. All he eats is spicy food. I'm not even joking. I actually wonder if you didn't eat something spicy in a day, if you wouldn't have a nightmare. You think that's true?
I'm not going to try it.
I'm not going to try it. I refuse. And even apparently just sleeping on your left side, which supposedly increases your chance of having a nightmare by 50%, according to some tests, those tests done by Neil deGrasse Tyson himself.
I call bullshit on that, dude. I only have nightmares on my back.
Well, Nick, you do all these things and you have nightmares. So I don't know, maybe f***ing sleep on your right side and just eat a kebab without a bunch of spices. So here's a post from a guy who is a lucid dreamer. First, some background info. I am a lucid dreamer. I've had lucid dreams on a regular basis. I've heard of some people who can continue where they left off and stuff, but I wasn't as extreme. So as some of you may know, with great power comes great responsibility. Ooh, bro's literally quoting Spider-Man. That responsibility, unfortunately, was sleep paralysis. You know where this is headed. No, I don't. So I tend to get sleep paralysis once a month or so, and it is creepy. One of those horrible moments where I'll never forget. I was in bed. I had woken up from a lucid dream. I couldn't move. Oh, Lord. I forced myself to stare at the ceiling. And as I knew what would happen if I dared look anywhere else, during the moment, I heard the door slam shut, and somebody was sprinting. I looked. I had to look. I saw a child with a machete. He had torn clothes, not to mention covered in a certain red substance. Shivers. He was sprinting towards me with that unforgettable smile on his face. I screamed. Thankfully, I hear sound. I was lucky it wasn't real, and I got up. In the end, I think lucid dreaming is worth it, sleep paralysis or not. I am a man. On r/lucid dreaming, this is their best suggestions for inducing nightmares. So here's some more. I don't get scared by anything besides having nightmares, and it tends to be a bit of an adrenaline rush when I wake up. Sorry, I know it sounds like a weird thing, but I'm not sure how else to put it. And these were some of the responses, I'm guessing. Try wearing socks to bed. I know it sounds weird, but I know a lot of people who avoid wearing socks to bed specifically to avoid having a nightmare. Imagine some guy who's just like, yeah, I wore my Hanes socks and I had a crazy nightmare last night. I used to do this on purpose by eating lots of cheese before bedtime. Watch an extra disgusting horror film as well for best results. So cheese and horror films. I actually, for some reason, I believe that. Probably just because you're having a heart attack and that's your body's going into some kind of panic. I hear Datura is living a nightmare for myself, but don't do it. So you can smoke Datura. What is Datura exactly?
It's like a weed.
It's like a weed. It's like a kind of drug. Every tip report I've read that came from consuming Datura has been an absolute nightmare. I listen to trip reports to fall asleep at night and have had some crazy nightmares from that alone. I guess that'd be a good way to have a nightmare before you go to bed. Some guy just talk about how like life has no meaning and he saw the face of God or whatever. And they say that if you want to have walking nightmares for days, you need to smoke Datura. And some of the common things that people experience on Datura go as following. Common hallucinations are blood dripping from the walls and other objects, seeing deceased family members as they were alive again, smoking a non-existent cigarette, insects crawling on your body, the phenomenon called room jumping, where the user blinks and is suddenly in a different room with different people, and doppelgangers that can be helpful or hostile. Physiological symptoms have been described as red as a beet, dry as a bone, blind as a bat, and as mad as a hatter. Flushed skin, extreme incessant thirst, blurred vision, and psychosis are common when smoking Datura. Good name though, huh? Kind of makes me think of that movie Zathura, which is just space Jumanji. Not very good. It is determined a delirium, not a psychedelic, because people who are unable to determine reality or have a recollection of taking something to feel this way. It commonly results in people stripped naked, leaving their house, and causing unwanted negative behavior such as violence, harassment, and destruction, and ends with them waking up in a hospital room or jail cell, unsure how or why they got there. Just like the guy who started Kony 2012, and he was naked, and I think he had a nervous breakdown, and he was jacking off in the streets of San Francisco. That's real. Remember Kony 2012, guys? I will say, for me going to you, do not take Datura, as there's no recommended dose, and people die on it all the time, so please don't take Datura, and if you do, please don't say that you took it because of me, because it'll make me look bad. So, people have nightmares all the time. Usually they're very funny. They're very, very odd. To me, it feels like impulses. It feels like tricklings of your own doubts and insecurities. It also feels like maybe it's just completely random. Nightmares are not fun. I don't like, if I have a nightmare, why would anyone like nightmares? If someone's like, I love nightmares, they're a liar, because nightmares are very, very scary. I've never pissed myself from a nightmare. You did, Nick?
No, not a nightmare, just a dream.
So you're just raising your hand to raise your hand. You know what? You're like the kid in like a 6th grade class who's like, make fun of me. All I know is tonight, if you have nightmares, it's not my fault. Eat some fucking bagel bites and go yourself. Have a good rest of your day.
Bon appetit, bitch. This, bitch. Let me handle this, bitch. It's not my fault. This bitch is dead on her feet. Welcome to my world, bitch. Die, little bitch. Think you're so smart, huh, bitch?
Really? Really? How the hell you got away with that? Click on the headless. Oh, wait. Oh, actually. Eeny, meeny, miny, why you had to click that?
Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? As we get deeper into the holiday season, I kind of have had the taste to get some holiday horror, you know, maybe a little Jack Frost. Remember everybody saw that in the movie stores? Whenever you walk by, it'd make the scary face. I remember I would go down Hollywood Video and I'd walk by the aisle and I'd be like, and I'd like kind of run off. An instant classic is Krampus, and maybe even, what's the one with, it's not Hulk Hogan, is it Goldberg? Silent Night, Deadly Night? Or is it just Deadly Night? Whatever, he plays. It has one of the best intros ever, and the rest of the movie is, you know, whatever. But those all kind of came to mind until earlier this year, I came across something called The Mean One. I think I saw this like maybe a month after the Winnie the Pooh movie came out, and it's a Grinch horror film. Ah, God, why? Earlier this year, we were doing a lot of horror movie reviews and stuff, but I could not find it to save the life of me. Wasn't on any streaming platforms, couldn't find it anywhere online, but luckily, I was able to receive a copy from a source. I don't know which source it was. I won't tell on the person that gave me said video, but I was able to see it. Finally, we were able to watch The Mean One, which is essentially, if I had to give you an upfront idea of what The Mean One is, I would say it's like they tried to do Jim Carrey's Grinch as a horror film, but they also wanted to just kind of do the plot of Willy's Wonderland is kind of the idea. It's the worst movie I've seen this year. I'll say that. It's not the worst movie ever. We're not going to go that far, but it is by far the worst movie this year, which this year has been stacked. Right, Nick?
Oh, yeah. This is one of the worst horror films I've personally ever seen. This, unironically, might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's also one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
This year has been fucking stacked. I mean, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, the Paul Bunyan horror film, Children of the Corn remake. Holy shit. The Little Mermaid. I would honestly say that the AI-generated Little Mermaid movie was more enjoyable than this. But without further ado, obviously spoiler warnings in case any of you are deranged enough to put this on during your holiday holiday festivities. Don't want to ruin this one for you. But without further ado, I had to watch it, so now you have to listen about it. Let's chat about the mean one.
Okay.
This movie starts off, and throughout the whole movie, there's like a narrator, which I'm pretty sure they're taking that from the cartoon. Well, I guess it's also in the Jim Carrey Grinch movie too, right? There's a narrator the whole time. It's in this context, it doesn't work at all. It's always kind of random, and you're like, oh shit, why the fuck are we doing that? But I digress, whatever. It starts off, we get the classic scene of Sydney Lou Who, but in this movie, they call it Sydney You Know Who.
Remember that story about Cindy You Know Who?
And you're like, okay, I immediately know what kind of fucking movie this is going to be. As soon as they start introducing, like, I mean, it's the name, but it's slightly different, okay? So it's like trying to be cute. And that's another thing with this movie, before I go too much into it, is I don't know how intentional the comedy is supposed to be. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, it's like, obviously it's they're trying to treat it as serious as they can with a horror movie. And it feels like they're doing that here too. But there's so many intentional, haha, this is supposed to be cute funny, that I didn't know if like, oh, are other parts of this movie supposed to be a comedy or a horror? I don't know, but it was bad. It wasn't funny and it wasn't scary. So I don't know. So it starts off with Sydney meeting the Grinch at the beginning, and they kind of establish that this is going to be a different version of the classic tale. It starts off with Sydney giving the Grinch or as she calls him, Santa, like a Santa Claus necklace, and his heart grew 3 sizes too big. But time stops, and then the narrator's like, well, that's probably the story you remember, but it's actually far darker.
But what if I said that's not how it went down?
And we get a nice cut of the mom immediately coming in and just being like, Sydney, watch out, that's a monster! The mom and the Grinch get into a scuffle, a scaff, as you were. The mom trips, falls onto a spike. The actress they had for Sydney lets out a very monotone, monster!
Monster! Monster! Monster!
That's the beginning of our movie. Until we cut to the future, apparently, and Sydney and her dad are driving back to town to just enjoy the holiday season, even though it's like your mom was grisly murdered during the holiday. It's very odd. And we get a lot of weird dynamics between Sydney and her dad. I mean, he's like really, really over the top, and there is a funny line where as they're driving up, Sydney and her dad are singing, and like they're laughing because they finished a song, because apparently that's funny. And she lets out a sigh, and the dad immediately says, are you okay? Because I can turn around right now.
You're going to be okay? Because we can turn around right now.
Which don't really know what elicited that response, but she's like, nah, it's fine. It's whatever. And then this is where we start getting, okay, now we're getting into extremely schlocky, low budget, new, like bad director kind of filmmaker vibes, when there's some shots that are snowy, and then there's some shots that are like, this is just Southern California or Northern California. I want to say that their home is probably in Northern California. That's kind of what it feels like. But while they're driving, they get pulled over by a cop who is absolutely rock hard for Sydney. He is flustered. He's like, what's your name? And she's like, oh God, Dad. And the dad's like, I wish you would get in here and fuck my daughter. Would you climb through this window and fuck my daughter? She's like, Dad. She looks at the cop and she's like, if I skinned my dad alive and cut off his cock and killed him and shot him in the back of the head, would you help me with that? And he's like, well, I'm sorry, I gotta go. And the cop just leaves. We started to notice that during this interaction, the movie is like extremely quiet.
I'm Cindy.
Abnormally quiet. Like there's no real score behind it. There's no sound effects. No, like let's take this right here. If you had this be absolutely quiet, it wouldn't feel like a live room, versus if I wanted to make it feel more cinematic, I might put in room noise like this. And now it feels kind of like a full space. It doesn't feel like I'm just like staring into the void and my ears are just like, are we dying? Is this what death is? Is this what it feels like to die? Because that's how it felt watching this movie a bit. It was so silent, I felt like I could hear my brain just fossilizing inside of my head. But Sydney and her dad arrive back to the house. This is the place that her mom got killed. It's a very sensitive subject. She immediately walks inside. We get an obvious jump scare of some bats coming out of a chimney. The dad immediately comes in. He's like, what's wrong? The next scene, Sydney has a nightmare of her getting choked for a split second. She screams again. The dad immediately sprints in. What's wrong? Except this time he's holding a bat. And in this part where he's like trying to like console her, and he's like, oh, it's okay. The actor to the actress was just extremely kissy. Like to the point where I'm like, maybe if it was like your younger daughter and you're trying to be affectionate, you'd be like, it's okay. And like kiss her head, and do whatever. He kisses her head, her hand, and then her shoulder. At what point I'm like, am I on the hub?
I feel like this is the beginning of like an intro to the hub, if you know what I'm talking about. They go into the coffee shop the next day where they're sitting down. We get introduced to the mayor, who her name is Mayor McBean, which is coincidental because I was like, isn't that the name of a Dr. Seuss character? And we were like, oh yeah, well that's probably a coincidence, but it gets so much worse. Essentially, the handsome sheriff that Sydney wants to fuck is there as well. He comes up. There's a guy that they've obviously, like a younger actor that they've tried to age. He kind of looks like Negan from The Walking Dead. He comes up and she's like, oh, hi, sheriff. And he's like, you remember me? And we get a nice quick flashback of Sydney as a little girl trying to show the sheriff a drawing she did, which is just a picture of the Grinch. And he's like, well, we found this outside. And it's a green ski mask. And he's like, so I'm going to need you to be a brave girl and draw what he actually looked like under the mask because monsters aren't real, right? And she's like, sure. He's like, okay, sweetheart, I'm going to really need you to say monsters aren't real. Can you do that? Are you a big girl? Can you do that? And she's like, yeah. Yes. He's like, no, sweetie, please. I need you to say it. Please say monsters aren't real. Okay, monsters aren't real. Okay, sweetheart. Now go ahead and draw that perp. I know you're 6 years old. Go ahead and draw that perp again to perfect detail so we can catch this guy. We cut back. The dad is obviously still pissed at the sheriff. So as they're leaving, they have a flashback. Turns out also the guy's Jewish, and there's like a really weird anti-Semitic joke about him being like, what is it, my nose?
Oh, I light the candles 8 nights a year.
You're Jewish.
Was it the nose?
Could you tell that I'm Jewish from these big fucking schnoz of mine? I thought that was a bit weird. Where it's just like, no, I just, I don't know. I just put two and two together. He's like, I bet it's this big fucking nose of mine. Hey, follow your nose. Am I Toucan Sam? I might be. I don't know. I don't know if any of these are landing. Okay. And as the scenes transition, we get one shot of an old man taking a swig from a whiskey glass, which I think they're trying to set up that somebody is watching them, but there's no other previous shot to show that like Sydney is being watched. So it just cuts to the interior of this man's truck and he's just drinking and then we just leave. So we're like, what? Who is that? But it doesn't matter because now we're having fun. Sydney and her dad are doing probably one of the cringiest montages of people faking having fun and putting up decorations. And it's so painfully quiet. We'll have to play some of the clips here, but... Just them kind of like being like, oh, cool. Here, come here, give me that. It feels like I think you should leave sketch in real time. That's kind of what it feels like, which immediately they do rock, paper, scissors to see who has to take out the trash. Sydney has to take out the trash and oops, her dad dies. And we have one of the most jarring edits where I couldn't really tell if it was a dream because she finds her dad and then we cut and she's in a hospital with blood on her hands and she's screaming. And the narrator's like, Sydney had horrible nightmares of blood on her hands.
Cindy's nightmares continued about the blood and the beast. If she hadn't lost her mind, she's misplaced it at least.
And you're like, oh, so this is her like thinking that she's gone crazy. And it's like, oh no, literally the next day she's just still in the hospital. And it's like, so how long she been in there? Because they kind of just let her out, which is weird because of every character in the movie so far has been like, yeah, Sydney, she's fucking crazy. It's like Michael Myers. It's like a young kid kills a family member, comes back and kills more people. It kind of reads like that to where I feel like they would be more alarmed, like, oh, well, this person has been around. Their mom died. Now they coincidentally come back and then now their dad is dead. I guess we'll just let her go. Mayor McBean shows up and she gives Sydney some flowers and she's like, hey, nice to see you're awake, psycho. She's like, I'm not a psychopath. The monster's out there, please. And then basically the Christmas killer's back. We get some of that stuff. The voice narrator says something again. I can't fucking remember. It's like, it's just so fucking bad.
The last of her love had been stolen away.
Gooning with the boys does not make you gay.
Sydney is taken home by the deputy, and you can definitely tell that the deputy, his dick is rubbing against the zipper of those pants real bad. He is bricked the fuck up. She's like, I'm not crazy. I saw a green monster head fur, okay? He's also like, I think he's super new to the Force too, and he's just like, I don't care. I want some crazy head. I want some crazy lady pussy, like bad. Did I mention I'm Jewish?
Proudly Jewish.
The mayor goes to the sheriff to tell him that they can't go through another Christmas killer thing again. It's bad for the MO in this small town. We can't keep having all these Christmas killers, sheriff. I'm a 33 millennial mayor, all right? I have to get reelected my entire life. I get paid $12,000 a year to be mayor of this town. And she does like a very sassy Karen thing as she walks away. She's like, okay, sweetie, all right. You can tell that, I don't know. She's a bitch. We cut to Sydney's house where she's inside cleaning her dad's blood off the floor, which we'll do a fact check now, but I'm almost positive that like the forensics keeps it there to take photos, but I'm pretty sure someone like cleans it up. Like they get someone to come and clean it up for you. I don't think they're like, that's a bummer. There's the blood. We shouldn't have left it that long, but we did. Sorry, man, for real. But Sydney luckily says, I'm tired of cleaning daddy's blood. I want to go for a hike. She goes up the hike of the mountain and she starts drinking some of the Jewish tea that the deputy gave her. And she looks like she's really content. It kind of almost, she's like, has the composure that she's just like, I'm totally fine with my dad being dead. But luckily enough, while she's taking some pictures of people kissing under a mistletoe on the mountain, like, that's a weird place to do it, but okay. There's the Grinch, and he starts attacking them with his claws. And we get one of the funniest scenes of the movie where Sydney runs up the hill, turns around, and there's the Grinch's face. They're definitely doing a Jim Carrey Grinch. It's becoming very, very clear. And then we get probably the funniest scene in the movie where she takes a bunch of rocks, and she's throwing it at the Grinch, and she's hitting him every time in the face. And she just keeps screaming, "You're real." And I don't know if this is supposed to be funny. You would think like maybe after one you kind of cut it quits, maybe two. So many rocks are thrown. It's an obnoxious amount of rocks. So the Grinch runs off. The paramedics are there now. Sydney's in a big hissy because she saw the thing she saw when she was 6 years old. She's definitely not insane. She definitely didn't go to the hills and assault these people. I promise you. But you know the paramedics are like, "Who did this to you?" She's like, "Well, I don't know. My glasses fell off. I couldn't get a good look at them." Which is like, I'm pretty sure even if you had your glasses off, you could see a giant green furred man in a red Santa Claus suit. It might be blurry, but you'd probably be like, it was like a red Santa Claus suit with a fur guy. Whatever. That's just what I would think. Sydney shows the sheriff some blur pictures of the Grinch's cock, and the sheriff says, "This is a federal land, so it's out of our jurisdiction," which it's pretty funny. He's like, "What the heck is this? What is this, Sasquatch? What is this?" He says something else. He's like, "Is this a cowboy?"
Hellboy? Bigfoot?
Pretty sure he says this is a cowboy. And I'm like, what? No, it's just monster. Look at it. Sydney puts up flyers of blurry images, which is just stupid. I mean, like when you look at the flyers, it's like, have you seen this man? Green fur and claws. And it's the blurriest compressed fucking JPEG you've ever seen in your life. And that's when we cut to, which once again, the edit makes it look like we're cutting back or like it's like a flashback, but no, we're just cutting to a group of Santa Clauses on a party bus who are driving into town. But the edit makes it look like a flashback. It's so fucking weird. The group of Santa Clauses that are in something called SantaCon, Jesus Christ, roll up to a bar and they're all gonna, get sloshed up. And it's cute and hilarious when one of them tries assaulting the waitress. Really funny. Because usually when horror movies do this, they're setting it up to where the bad guy gets his comeuppings. He slips off to the back while all of his friends are laughing. And I think that he's gonna go grape the waitress. And she just elbows him in the face and she just, sorry. And it's like, wasn't he about to just like assault you? I feel like you should probably be a little more, I don't know, not as like, I'm a bad bitch. I would be like, I'm going to kill you with a fucking frying pan. But luckily the Grinch comes in and we really get to see this guy, whoever the Grinch actor is. He has a little candy cane. He's doing a twirl and he bashes one of the Santa's heads in. He's very Jim Carrey here. And all hell breaks loose. I mean, he's beating people up. It's total pandemonium in the bar, which you wouldn't really know because there's no music really at all. So it feels very silent and like I feel like they just forgot to add sound effects in. Hey. Like it feels so empty. There is a funny part though where it's once again a terrible edit, but the Grinch jumps up and he immediately lands down and it's just like a wig that has like some cherry pie filling on the floor. That was pretty funny. He stabs an inflatable tree, puts someone in a meat grinder, and he just beats the shit out of people. So the waitress who hit the guy on the head, the Grinch like drug his body into the freezer and she went in after him and got locked in the whole time. But after the whole Grinch murder fest, the freezer door just like randomly opens and she's able to walk out and see how crazy this bad SantaCon, which also I don't know why they had to make the SantaCon people just like, I don't know, it's like it felt like a biker gang, like a movie, you know what I mean? Like when it's like, oh, the biker gang comes in, they're like, we're not paid for anything, fucker, go get us a beer. You sweet tits. Yeah, let me see that pussy. I want to see that cyclops eye between your legs. They're just people dressed up as Santa. Just felt weird. Whatever. Also in this movie, they reused the same B-roll of like clouds passing by the moon, but it's on like 12 frames a second. It looks really like maybe even 8 frames. I mean, it looks like really jagged. Like almost like the render got fucked up, but they keep reusing it. You gotta make me laugh a little bit. At Sydney's house, the Grinch comes and turns her lights off. Someone breaks in, and it turns out it's not the Grinch. It's the old man who was drinking the whiskey in the truck. Remember him from a while ago? You don't? I barely did too. Sydney punches him in the face, and he does like a creepy line. He's like, "You gotta punch harder than that if you're gonna beat up the Grinch.
You're gonna have to learn to hit harder than that."
It's like, okay, what? They go to Horton's to get a drink. You just kind of see what's happening. By now, we're like, oh God, he's going to keep putting in all of these Dr. Seuss references. McBean, Hortons, it gets so much worse. The local whiskey fat old man drunk shows a drawing to Sydney, which looks like a pencil drawing that a third grader would do at school, which is fine because it's not he's a professional artist, but it's just funny because he just carries it around with him. What does that monster look like? Well, let me show you. And he pulls out this drawing, and then she's like, well, what am I seeing? What's his name? And he's like, they call him the Grinch. And as he says it, the waitress or the bartender is like, Finch! Order for Mike Finch! It's a really clever way to get around copyright. But then the drunk guy is like,
But to me, he's just the mean one.
Wink! Wink! It's the name of the movie! We get exposition about the lumberjack, how the mean one hates anything Christmas, how he doesn't like the mean one because his wife was mailing. This is kind of funny. This is like just such a stupid backstory. He's like, my wife was mailing Christmas packages to our cousin in Florida. It's like, okay. I feel... Our cousin in Florida. So we had to mail him the gifts because he lives in Florida. And when she was doing that, the Grinch cut off her head. So I hate that mean old Grinch. I hate him. Which, yeah, I don't blame him. I'd hate him too, but yeah. But now she's like, we should go and tell the police officer about this. They go back to the police station, and basically the sheriff is like, listen, Sydney, you dumb bitch. That's a local drunk. Please, for the love of God, leave me alone. She's like, I'm not going to. And even the deputy who wants to fuck her real bad, he's like, I mean, come on, sheriff. She has another eyewitness here. So Sydney keeps manipulating and gaslighting him, really promising her strange to him. She's like, so I guess you're not going to do anything, I guess. He's like, well, I mean, it's out of my jurisdiction, but I'll see what I can do. So we cut to the next scene of him going up into the hills, and he just very easily finds the Grinch's cave, and there's just wallets everywhere on the ground. Like he's picking them up like a little bread trail or something like that. There's a sheet over something. He lifts it up. It's a dead body. The Grinch comes in. He has a really mishap with this little toy. And it's a big spooky scene. He leaves the cave after seeing this dead body, the Grinch doing his Jim Carrey impressions, and he runs into the drunk guy who has a gun, or he's getting ready to go into the cave and I guess kill the Grinch. And he's like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? And then he doesn't immediately just say, oh my God, I just saw a dead body. They have like a weird back and forth, and then the drunk guy's just like, well, I guess you just saw what the mean one's about. And he just gets in his car, and a bunch of like very clearly like recycled bottles just kind of fall out of his car to once again reassure you that he's a drunk. It's like, we already have that. But they don't go in and do anything. They both have guns. Go shoot him. He's right there. Whatever. Oh yeah, and that's also when we find out that his name, the drunk guy's name is Zeus. But people just call him Doc. People just call him Doc. Dr. Seuss, do you get it?
Matthias Seuss. Seuss? Well, everybody calls me Doc.
Holy shit, it's so stupid. Oh my God. So the deputy and Sydney meet up, and he tells her that I think something is going on. Even though you saw a dead body. Yeah, no shit, you know something's going on. I think something weird's going on. It's like, didn't you just see a decaying body and a bunch of fucking weird wallets in a cave? Yeah, no shit, dude. Go back to your boss. Holy shit. Sydney takes a shower, and the deputy comes in and starts fucking her, but they both get hit by the Grinch again, or get attacked by him. Once again, just propping up another like dream sequence. It's like, it feels like it's doing a callback to like Nightmare on Elm Street or something. It's giving that vibe. And also to say this as well, it feels like the Grinch is trying to do like an Art the Clown thing from Terrifier, but without any of the actual gore or any of the charisma from the actor and like the ambiance of music. It falls so flat, and it just seems like somebody doing like a Hollywood Walk of Fame Jim Carrey Grinch impression, and it's really fucking stupid. And that's another problem too with this film. It's just like, no, so far all of these kills, you don't see any of it. It just cuts to like off screen, bam, and then like the result of the death afterwards, which is just the worst. It's the worst when you do that in a slasher, dude. But luckily it was just a dream. She wakes up, and the narrator starts being like, she can't tell the dreams from reality.
Nightmares made it hard to know what's real and what's fake.
It just feels like, no shit, dude, I just saw that. Like, are you trying to say us? Are you trying to say that like we can't start to discern that from reality? Are we doing like a weird dream sequence? Like, is this real? I don't know. It was just confusing. We get a cringe montage of she's gonna train to beat the Grinch, like a fighting sequence, like a Rocky training sequence, which it all goes along with, like, remember those like Trans-Siberian Orchestra like rock? They put that in the background kind of, but to not use copyright either. They only use like a couple of the chord progressions, and then they're just like, this kind of sounds like holiday music. As she learns kung fu and how to shoot a gun really well in this montage, which there's no perception of time. So you have to assume that it's all in one day. So she did this in about like probably 4 to 6 hours. Pretty sweet training session. Doc grabs a bottle of Geisel whiskey and really is sure to turn the bottle around so you know what it is, which if you don't know, that's Dr. Seuss's actual last name. These Easter eggs are so sick. Oh God. Doc leaves and he gets arrested for drunk driving, but we cut to a diner, and at the diner, it's called Egg Heaven. It's in green font, green eggs and ham. Have you ever heard of that? Inside, the diner owner is mad because he got Jingle Bells in the mail and not the bell peppers that he ordered, which why a food company would get that mixed up, I don't really know, but it happened. And because of that, you know, the Grinch gets mad because there's some Christmas stuff and we get another death. He hacks away at his body, but it's like Spirit Halloween prosthetics and they're already cut. So he's just like slamming down on already cut objects and it just looks very obvious. It was bad. I don't know. I'm just telling you. Which also, they're trying to incorporate some of Jim Carreyisms from the Grinch. They keep trying to do that in there, and it just doesn't work. One, because like he's so quiet. The only thing that you ever hear from the Grinch is he just does.
So you can get one giggle for $10. There you go.
Which I guess the Grinch does that in the original film. I don't know. We cut back to the Doc getting thrown in the drunk tank, and he starts spatting at the sheriff. He's like, I'm trying to help you get rid of a monster. The sheriff walks away, and he gets in an argument with the mayor, which that's when you find out that the mayor was once her deputy. She was a deputy to him at one point, and they know some kind of dark secret, and I think that this is when they reveal that they know there's a monster in town, which is very parallel to Willy's Wonderland and that sheriff too. So it feels like just kind of like, oh, well, they did that, so I guess we will too. But at least in this movie, the mayor says an extremely cringy line. She says,
if I burn, I'm pulling you into the fire.
Sick. Sydney's sitting there contemplating how she's going to beat the Grinch from the drawing she got from the Doc, looking at his chest, and she's like, are his shoes too tight? His heart is probably 2 times too small. By this point in the film, they are really committing extremely hard to making Sydney look like prime Ronda Rousey. Looks just like her. They're like, that's how the viewer knows that she's a fucking bad bitch now, for real. And the deputy comes in with his laptop talking to Ronda Rousey, and he's just like, listen, I cross-checked these walls I found in the cave, and all of them are hikers, which it's all like photoshopped images, and he looks on their Facebooks, and there's just the Grinch photoshopped in the background of each one of them. And it's like, because this town, which is called Newsville instead of Whoville, oh God, has a website that's like, come hike here, and the domain is owned by the mayor. And he's like, the mayor's in on it. She wants people to go up to the mountains to get killed by the Grinch so he doesn't come down here, I guess. Which I thought that he only prized on people who do Christmas stuff. So she's saying in the website, like, go do Christmas stuff up in the mountains or whatever. It once again feels like a parallel between Willy's Wonderland, where it's like, oh, go clean up the pizzeria. But at least in Willy's Wonderland, it's like, it's to feed them so they don't break out and kill other people. It doesn't have like a Christmas correlation thing of whatever. The deputy, who still wants to have sex with Sydney, extremely bad, finds out that she has some guns upstairs, and it's a full-on assault rifle. And he grabs like this like red ornament, and she's like, oh, don't touch that. So you have to assume that's a bomb. And there's like an extremely childish like red thread connection, like conspiracy board on the wall. And he's like, I don't want you getting hurt. I was trying to impress you. Please, I want to eat your pussy so bad. And she's like, maybe. Go kill the Grinch and we'll talk. We cut to the mayor. Her car breaks down. Uh-oh, the Grinch is there. And he strangles her with some of her sticker ribbons, which it's like, if you've ever had one of the sticker ribbons, the paper is so thin that I was like, how is it that strong to pull a whole body back? But anyways, he props up her head in the trunk of the car. I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's going to be like a head smash scene. But instead, this like Toyota Prius trunk door just cuts off her head, and then we get a headless prop with one of her stickers on her mouth. It's so boring. Where are we even at, dude? The sheriff, or the deputy confronts the sheriff that, oh my God, dude. Oh my God. And the sheriff basically is like, you know, oh, these killings happen every time, every Christmas. We get a really stupid fucking flashback of the sheriff like walking up and seeing somebody named Stephanie. He's like, Stephanie. Kind of sounds like Chris Chan when he's beating off saying Julie, whatever, in that one video. Julie! Don't put that on the screen.
Julie!
We find out that the sheriff and mayor have been trying to save the town by feeding people to it. It's once again, it's Willy's Wonderland. It's exactly Willy's Wonderland. It's so stupid. Cut to Sydney and she does like 12 different poses in front of the window. It's actually pretty funny. She's like looking at the window. She does another pose. She does one more. She does a fucking roll to get her knife. It's like, dude, just walk to the fucking knife, you extra bitch. Good Lord. Turns out that one of her traps that she set off went off, and it's Doc. Uh-oh, he's hanging upside down. He's like, I saw your boyfriend up there going to the mountain to kill the Grinch. And then it has like this weird moment where she's like, oh my God, did he say that we were boyfriend and girlfriend? It's one of those things where I'm like, what is this movie? Are you trying to be cutesy and funny, or are you trying to be a horror film? Stay in your lane! My God! The deputy goes up to kill the Grinch. The deputy is singing like Christmas songs, but doesn't know him because he's Jewish. And he does, some funny renditions of that until he just sings the dreidel song, which that's when we hear the Grinch. And if we can ever hear the Grinch in this movie, I'm pretty sure they just use stock bear sounds. So it just sounds like, It'd be really scary if it was just Jim Carrey sound bites. Somebody stop me! But the deputy gets his leg stuck in the bear trap. Ooh, the Grinch has a mistletoe and does a kissy face to him. Very, very funny. And then he gets lit up by the sheriff and then runs off. The sheriff like shoots him like 4 times. And he's just like, "Rrr." And it looks like it doesn't really affect him, but the amount of blood that comes out of his mouth, I'm like, this creature is dying right now. But no, he just runs off. The sheriff basically opens up the bear trap. He's just like, you'll be fine, kid. I'm gonna go kill this Grinch. He starts singing Christmas carols as well, and they tried doing a Saul shout out, kind of like the scene in the first Saul movie where the guy takes a picture to illuminate the dark room. He does that with a gun, except it's just like, it looks like I'm doing a lot of references right now because I really want to piece together how I'm absorbing this film. So he's shooting in this cave to light up the room like in Saw, but the Grinch is dodging the bullets, kind of like the Emperor fight scene at the end of Chronicles of the Riddick. If you've ever seen that movie before in your life, the way he's moving. Needless to say, the sheriff dies. Uh-oh. And once again, they meet right outside the cave. Every time we go outside the cave, they're always just right out front, which makes me think that like they could only shoot in a certain vicinity outside. They couldn't show too much of the forest because there was like, I don't know, corporate buildings or something like right there. They're immediately right there and they're just like, we got to get the hell out of here. So they drop off the Jewish guy who basically tells Sydney, he's like, it has to be you, baby. Please, for the love of God, let me lick the tip. Please, Rhonda. Take me to prom, Rhonda. Sydney goes back and she is luring the Grinch in. She turns on all of her Christmas lights and now it's real, dude. She says, it's time to roast this beast.
Time to roast this beast.
The Grinch carved the roast beast.
We cut to her in her house. She's sleeping. The Grinch sneaks in. She says some fucking cringe line and kicks him in the chest. And then that's when the Grinch like turns around and there's 2 laser pointers and he's getting sniped and the doc is shooting him, but there's no laser sight on his gun. He just is just shooting him. They can't find him. And Sydney has all of her guns are Christmas themed. Like she has like a candy cane shotgun, which if this was like a cheesy, fun, schlocky action movie, maybe that could be fun. But here it's just like, he took time to paint that. It just feels weird. The doc ends up getting attacked. Also, the Grinch gets shot like 6 times again. He's been just getting lit the fuck up. I mean, he's borderline immortal, invincible here, okay? The Grinch attacks Doc, which is kind of funny. He does like, please, no! Please don't do this, no!
Julie!
Sydney tries to attack him again, tries shooting him, but the Grinch does and runs off. Doc scolds Sydney. He's like, Rhonda, get your ass back inside and stick to the fucking plan. We go back inside. The Grinch and Sydney have the douchiest action scene of all time. They do like a little punching scuffle, like it's like a weird whatever. She takes that globe that we saw earlier and throws it in his face and it explodes. She then lifts up a rug in our living room and then lights, I'm guessing like Christmas decorations that lead to the Christmas tree, and it explodes. She had her tree rigged to explode. I don't know. I was like, what? Basically, after this, Sydney jumps on top of the Grinch. She's getting ready to stab him until she sees that he still has the necklace that she gave him at the beginning of the movie. And she's like, you had this? And he's like, And then she forgives him because towards the middle of the movie, or whenever the Jewish guy meets up with him, or whenever the deputy is talking to her the first time, he's like, you got to learn to forgive. So then she just lets him forgive. But by doing so, his heart gets 2 sizes too big and it explodes. And he says, go away, run. Go! He does like a scene from the Hurt Locker and rolls himself over and fucking explodes. So she won't die. So then the Grinch dies. And then it cuts to like some weird stock footage commercials where it's like, oh, is this creature real? Like the world knows about the Grinch now. And it brings all this tourist traffic to Newsville. Basically, the movie ends where it's like, oh, you brought all this infrastructure, even though the Grinch is dead. People want to go hiking and hopefully see the Grinch. And then the deputy and Ronda Rousey make out. And then the narrator's like, oh, all is well until next year. But it's like, is there more than one Grinch?
And so ends our story with holiday cheer, and they all lived happily ever after, at least till next year.
So I'm guessing they're going to set up for multiple Grinches, or did the Grinch survive, but he's still mad even though he tried saving Sydney there? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And also, if I was Doc, I'd be fucking mad that Sydney didn't stab him in the fucking face 3 times. And also, just because the Grinch, like, people were mean to him or called him a monster, it doesn't give him the right to go and murder, like, I mean, how many fucking people? Like, over 20 people? Oh, someone called you ugly, dude. Big fucking deal. It's like trying to be like, oh, well, you know, people were rude to him first. It's like, no, it doesn't justify anything. They should have just fucking put this animal down because it's rabid. It's absolutely fucking rabid. But lo and behold, this movie, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I would not recommend it. I would, not even as a funny watch. This is a warning to anybody. Please do not watch this movie. It wasn't even like, oh God, it's so boring. So unbelievably boring. If you're gonna watch a Christmas horror movie, watch Krampus. Krampus fucking rules. Can we say that? I'm gonna say that. I want to put that out there. Krampus fucking rules. So does, I mean, Jack Frost is kind of shitty, but at least it's fun. That's a fun Christmas horror film. The beginning scene to Silent Night, Deadly Night is awesome. We should play a little bit of it here. That's the peak of the movie, though. So if you think the whole thing is like that, it's not. I'm just gonna put that out there. But anyways, that's the mean one, the new Christmas horror movie for this year. So just wanted to sit down and talk about it and let you know to please avoid it if you can. Run away from it. It's not good. Watch Krampus. Krampus is a good one. I'd even recommend Ginger Dead Man over this movie. I don't think that movie's like awesome, but you know, Gary Busey voices the cookie. Do I need to say more, right? But that's all I got for you today. See you in the next one. Let's move on to monsters. My monster list, I'm not gonna lie, is very normy, but it's I think it's just the classics during the spooky season.
Can't go wrong with the classics.
Would you like to start off, or would you want me to?
Yes, I can kick us off. My first recommendation for this is also debatably a monster movie, but I consider it technically a monster movie. The scariest quote unquote monster movie I've ever seen is Hellraiser.
The box. You opened it. We came.
It's just a puzzle box!
Oh no. It is a means to summon us.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure, you know, Hellraiser, not new information to a lot of people, but a lot of people who are like our age or younger,
don't watch it.
They don't watch it. It's that whole thing where, like, if the year has a 19 at the beginning of it, they're just not interested.
It's too old.
This isn't for your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Hellraiser has some of the most terrifying visuals ever.
Oh, man. Some of the best visuals ever. Also, some of the best lines.
Jesus wept.
The design of the Cenobites, the, like, practical effects for all the gore and what have you, it's so terrifying. Like, Hellraiser set the stage for a lot of, like, some call it prop horror, but, like, you know, practical effect horror moving forward, and with good reason. That movie's terrifying.
Come to daddy.
Oh my god.
I think I'm just going to start mine off and get the thing out of the way.
We're going to draw a little bit of everybody's blood. We're gonna find out who's the thing.
I mean, anytime I can, I recommend The Thing.
Yeah,
you gotta
absolutely.
recommend The Thing.
You
The
have
Thing
to.
is my favorite movie ever made, in my opinion. Just like it's everything I want in a horror film, of like deception, great practical effects, beautiful score, amazing acting. I mean, it's just like, it's fucking great. Wilford Brimley in that movie is just my idol. One of my buddies was joking me today about the scene where he's like in the hut outside. He's like, "Let me back in. I want to come back in." They're like, "No,
just let me inside.
I'm normal.
I can be
swear."
trusted."
But we were wanting to make like an edit to where it's like you hear like whatever meme is going on, like we were gonna. He's like listening or like watching Big Mouth in the background. You like hear it in the TV. He's in like in the shed. He's like, "Let me back in. I'm normal. I'm fine." You see Kurt Russell shut the door.
I like that. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I thought that'd be a fun edit. But John Carpenter is like one of my favorites. I mean, he's just so fucking good, and it's just the ending of that movie is perfect. It's just like, in my opinion, a perfect movie. There's like some weird stuff. There's like some stuff that like it looks a little dated in terms of like some of the stop motion stuff they did, but other than that, like the practical effects, in my opinion, I don't think those practical effects have ever been topped or will ever be topped. It's one of my favorite movies ever. If you haven't seen it, because so many people are like, "Oh, I hear it's good." People usually say, "Oh, it's a good movie," and they've never seen it. Take time to watch it. It's a fucking great movie.
Man, what I mentioned with Hellraiser, of how like it set up a lot of prop horror. The Thing is like the golden standard. There's few movies I would consider perfect, but I have watched that movie so many times and get something new out of it every time. Just the way they slowly get picked off, the way the distrust builds up, it's poetry. Every aspect of that movie works.
It's so good. It's so good. And there's just like, God, Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, Keith David, just so many good performances. And it's just, the same thing that I like, where it's a very simple set, isolated, kind of creepy, fucking awesome thing. And I love ambiguity in horror. I like whenever someone effectively puts you in an experience where you don't know how something happened, but you're just like along for the ride, and they do not explain anything like other than that. And you letting the viewer's imagination is like 10 million times more powerful than any other movie where, somebody spells out why or how something happens. I think it's just that's just right up my alley. I love it.
Today's video is sponsored by Established Titles.
Now, I've been called many things in my life, but Lord is not one of them. Until now. That's right, you little peons, and I have the certificate to prove it! And it's all thanks to Established Titles. Established Titles is a wonderful conservation project that allows you to buy as little as 1 square foot of land in the Scottish woodlands. Every order comes with an official certificate and plot number. And with every order placed, Established Titles plants a tree. It's a fun way to help out a great cause. Give it as a gift or buy a package for yourself and help out the environment. Everybody wins! You can even put your new title on a credit card. The first 200 people that use my link and purchase a title pack will be placed right next to mine. Together, we can create a meat kingdom. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll take a field trip and see them all lined up together. It's not gonna happen. It'll be like that scene from Braveheart, except without that racist guy. So what do you say? You looking to increase your status and do a little good? Go to establishedtitles.com/PapaMeat and use promo code PapaMeat to support the channel and get 10% off your purchase. Thank you to Established Titles for sponsoring the video, and back to the video.
So the next movie for Monster Flicks has to be The Blob.
Yes. One of the best remakes ever.
Yeah,
Easy.
absolutely. The Thing itself was a remake, and I would say that's probably the best remake ever. But Blob 1988's up there. One of the things I love about monster movies is it gives the director and the creators the opportunity to be ridiculous, right? They don't have to remain in the bonds of like what is technically, you know, or anatomically accurate. So in the Blob, when you have essentially a giant cell that eats people, you can make it as gross and as bloody and as over the top as you want. And the Blob from 1988 does exactly that. There's this very niche subcategory of horror movies called melt movies, that specifically the horror derives around the concept of people being literally melted or like torn down into basic parts. And the Blob is like the best example of that, I feel. Watching people melt, watching their bodies be assimilated, and it like does not hold any punches.
No.
Regardless of who is the victim, it is bloody, it is brutal the whole time. It's great.
Yeah, there's a couple, even just some like children death scenes in this movie, which is very rare.
Yeah, and they're not just like, oh, the kid dies off screen.
No,
like,
it's
the
brutal.
The kid melts.
The
It
kid
is
fucking
insane.
gets, yeah, dissolved. I mean, the motherfucker dies for real. My next one, I don't know why it's not really similar. Well, I guess it's another great practical effect movie by one of my other favorite directors, is Slither.
What the fuck?
First off, James Gunn is just such a fucking great director. I love him. This movie is so fucking weird and fun, and like has like some weird, like oddly sexual themes to it. And so there's just about space maggots. I think that's why maybe I thought Blob or The Thing is just another element of like space coming down to Earth and terrorizing a town. And this one, it's just, yeah, people fleeing from giant, you know, basically leeches. But the effects are so cartoony. The way people die are so cartoony. Like the woman in the barn or whatever, who's just like basically a giant ball. It's just really fun. James Gunn is a great fucking director, and this is one of those movies I feel like people look over because it kind of, I feel like it's that early 2000s feel where people are like, oh, this is probably gonna be like a cheap kind of stupid movie with slugs or whatever, but it's really, really fun. I think people should check it out.
It like finds itself in that niche we were talking about, right? Where you have the freedom, now that you're operating outside of reality, to go all out with it. And that creates some of the best, like, honestly, cosmic horror that we can get a hold of. Some of the best, like, modern horror authors, like Junji Ito, but capitalize on that. Like, okay, I made this world, I made this monster, it can do whatever I say, and I'm going to make it gross. And I love it whenever they, like, go through with it, like with Slither.
Yeah, it's yeah, the nice ambiguity factor of just being like, this is the rules I'm giving you. It doesn't matter how we got here. That's just like the world we live in. And this is like the experiences they have. And I think that's always really fun because, you know, audiences aren't stupid. They like that. You know, that's why I get so frustrated when you see movies where it's like everything is being so over explained and just like everything has to make logistical sense, when it's like, no, just throw us in. I want to have fun.
Yeah.
Let me have fun.
Yeah, put me in the deep end. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, baby, what happened to your face?
It's just a bee sting.
A movie that stuck with me both because of where I like live, that it's a personal tear, but also just because it's so good. The Descent.
Oh man, that's like that's one of the movies that fucked me up so much when I was a kid. That movie fucked me up so bad.
Dude, okay, so there's different kinds of, you know, like scary movies, quote unquote, right? There's movies that focus on scare, like when you're watching it, you get creeped out, like creepy faces, jump scares, what have you. And there's movies that focus on fear, the concepts or things you're dealing with, like stay with you. Descent is like a perfect middle line, right? Because whenever you're watching it, you're like, like the claustrophobia, the actual like blood and gore, like the blood pool scene near the end of the movie.
Brutal.
Insane. Oh yeah, brutal. The bones and everything. So like that is momentary scare. But then once the movie's over, you're thinking about it and you're like, man, those hallways were pretty tight.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
And also the way the tension built into it, like when you take some of the end scenes out of context, you're like, man, this is over the top and like just insane, which it is. But in the context of the movie, it never breaks the feeling of this is real, or this is like a real threat these characters are facing. So because of that, it lures you into this scenario where these barbaric situations are happening, but you're still invested in the character's well-being because they never lost that. So as like twists and turns happen with the characters in the film, it's still impactful in spite of everything that's going on. And it's really hard for horror movies to keep amping up the pressure and still make you care about the people, especially monster movies. They always get to the point where you're just like, oh, well, here's the walking buffet.
Right, and I think that the protagonist in this movie is incredibly strong. Like I feel like I was rooting for her the whole time. Like,
yes, yeah,
really, really, really great protagonist. I think, like, you know, you already touched on, I'm claustrophobic as all hell. I mean, like, extremely claustrophobic. So, yeah, even Spelunky. I fucking hate when I go on TikTok and I see, like, there's this one skinny man and his son who, like, spelunk through caves. And he's like, yeah, this is a tight fit. And, like, you're like, why? Why are you down there? Get the fuck out of there. But the movie is also kind of effective of, like, it, you know, I feel like you get kind of a little bit of, like, you know, are these humanoid people who have just been, like, inbreeding in the dark down here, and, like, all these kind of weird things of, like, these creatures to me never really felt like otherworldly or something. It kind of felt like some people who got trapped down there and they've just been, like, having children, and they're, like, very, you know, they're all blind and they just hear by sound. It's fucking crazy. There's the pit where they definitely, you are under the assumption too that they leave at night and they probably, like, drag deer or, like, some kind of animals into the cave and stuff. It's just
which is
really
terrible.
It's horrible. Horrible.
These giant trapdoor spiders that just roam around the woods at night. Oh my word.
That movie has, like, one of my favorite monster reveals. The first shot where the monster's standing behind the woman in the cave. That's such a fun reveal.
Under the night vision camera.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's such a good movie.
I'm fine.
I feel like I have to be this guy, and I feel like I just want to recommend a classic because, like I said, people just don't watch enough of the classics. You got to check out The Creature of the Black Lagoon. It's just like,
that's a good classic.
Not gonna scare you by any means. No way in hell. Horror has come so far in, like, 90 years that it's not gonna scare you. But I fucking love the costume. I, like, love the idea of this creature underwater. The film techniques they used back then were really kind of new and innovative. And, like, the people are actually underwater in this, like, suit that the guy can barely swim in. The guy fucking almost drowned, like, 7 times during the movie. But it's just awesome. It's just, like, one of the most iconic fucking, like, fish people. And I'm such a Lovecraft person. I just love fish horror for some reason.
Fish horror.
Yeah, it's fish horror. There's tons of fish horror. This is one of those movies, and I'm gonna parlay that in as well because I said fish horror with Dagon, which is a great Stuart Gordon movie from the year 2000. Which
Dagon, like the
Dagon.
Canaanite god.
Yes, it was.
What?
Well, first off, let me go into Stuart Gordon has done primarily nothing but Lovecraft movies. He likes taking Lovecraft short stories and turning them into movies. So Stuart Gordon did, like, Reanimator. He did From Beyond. And in the year 2000, he made Dagon, which is, like, a really cheap, kind of shitty fish horror movie, but it is, like, a staple of mine in B horror. It's amazing, but it's mostly about H.P. Lovecraft's short story Shadows over Innsmouth. But the movie's called Dagon, which, you know, in both of those movies have that, you know, Eldritch god Dagon in it. But it's one hell of a ride. I'm
looking at the screenshots right now, and you've got some explaining to do.
Yes. Like I said, it is. It's very cheap. It's very shitty, but it's, like, so fun. It's such a fun movie, but it's incredibly cheap, but very fun. I don't have to fucking watch it. It's good. It's a good one.
What did you do? What are you got nuts? You fucking crazy?
What's your next movie, sir?
All right, so my next one, I'm going to go to a campy one now, because like I said, one of my favorite things about monster films is when you have a group of people holding something off. fighting for their life, getting picked off one by one. But it's also fun whenever the creature is just something crazy out of this world. And one of the funnest concepts I've seen done with this idea is eight-legged freaks.
Dude, did you piss your pants? We gotta go. We gotta get out of here. They're coming.
Looks like the only thing going is you, dude.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Have you seen Eight-Legged Freaks?
Oh yes, the big.
Okay.
I remember I watched it back in the day because when I was a kid, I was a fan of Scream, and they have Dewey from Scream, and he's the sheriff or whatever in this movie as well. He's
Yep.
always a cop. Why is he always a cop?
I don't know. David Arquette he's got a thing for. I played The Quarry recently, which is the choose your own story game, and he played a camp counselor, which is essentially a child cop. So
That's a child cop.
It's a child cop.
I would definitely classify that as child cop for sure.
That was also like Eight-Legged Freaks was like one of Scarlett Johansson's first movies.
Yeah, very young, very young. I think that it was before. I want to say it was even before fucking. What was the Bill Murray movie that she was in? Lost in Translation? Yeah, which was also she was really young there too. Because this movie, wow, 2002. Man, I'm old. I'm getting old. I'm getting old.
Eight-Legged Freaks is about a small town where chemicals spill into the water and makes giant spiders, and that's it. That's like the whole
That's
plot.
all you need.
That's all. That's literally all you need, because the bulk of the movie and what makes it fun is these townspeople getting killed by these waves of giant spiders. All these different kinds, like jumping spiders attack people, orb weavers attack people. Eventually, everyone holds up together and starts shooting and blasting them away, and it becomes a cool final stand movie. It's very campy. It knows it's campy. There's a scene where a spider tackles someone, and he tries to punch the spider, so the spider starts using its like front feelers to hit him, and it literally plays like the stock punching sound effect. Like spams it as the spider's hitting him.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Like the
Oh,
movie
yes.
knows what it is. And that makes it even better. So it's fun, it's campy. I watch it all the time for a good laugh. It's great. And there is some horror to it. Like, there's people webbed up and obviously being attacked by giant spiders. That's going to scare someone, but it has fun with the concept too.
Is there any practical effects in spiders? Are there, if I remember correctly, they're all CG, right?
They are. Yes, I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
not remember any practical effects
Yeah,
in
no,
that movie.
I feel like I remember when I watched it, I was like, whoa, but I feel like there's no way in hell it holds up for CG. It makes me want to go watch it again. I have to. The
that's-
concept is so fun.
I'll spoil it for you. It does not hold up.
No!
At all.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, that's part of the love, though. That's
Oh,
it.
well,
Like
yeah,
you see
yeah.
these spiders who, for some reason, the lighting does not match the position they're in.
When I tell you that when you watch Dagon, and believe me, when you will, Dagon, it does it. You're gonna think visually, this is dated, and you would be correct.
Oh boy, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
One of my personal favorites too is It Follows, which I think is I'm going to classify that as a monster movie.
Never go into a place that doesn't have more than one exit.
Basically, you have to have sex with somebody to pass on this monster, and if you don't, this monster can disguise itself as whoever, and it comes and kills you. It's just a really fun way to use STDs and as like a horror device, and it's just really, really fun. Also, great fucking soundtrack. But I remember I saw this in theaters the year it came out. I want to say 2014, 2015. Surprised the fuck out of me. Really, really fun. And it gets mixed signals. I know some people are like, oh, the ending or how they deal with the monster or whatever. It's fun. I think it's just it's a good old time. I enjoy it.
It Follows is a great movie. It's held up. I like the horror. I like that there's a lot of nuance to it. Like, I didn't realize until like a third time I watched it, the person it appears as at the end of the movie, whenever they're in the pool, that is her father.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
you
I
can
don't
tell
think I caught that.
you can tell because earlier in the movie she holds up a picture of her father, and she never addresses it, but a tentative viewer realizes that it's now manipulating, like trying to get to the people closest to her. Little touches like that go a long way. But yes, I'm a big fan of the movie.
Greg, are you okay? Greg.
All right, so sticking with my theme of monster movies and last stands, I've got to go with what's probably my favorite zombie movie of all time. I'm not saying it's the best. I think the best would probably be Train to Busan.
Okay.
That's a great film. But my favorite is the 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Oh boy, Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder. When that guy does it right, he does it right. Like Watchmen, 300. When he like takes the style that he's made his own and like can effectively imply it, I think it goes a long way.
There probably has never been or will ever be a better first 10 to 15 minutes of a zombie movie. Such a beautiful, effective first like 10 minutes to totally get you totally invested into the movie.
And what's crazy is it capitalized on what I think a lot of people want to see, because zombie movies are still fun to me. I know people got burned out on them. I never got burned out. I still love zombie games. I still love zombie media. It's just fun. The idea of these endless waves of things to fight back against. But especially in video games, we're all like, okay, shopping malls, those are cool. Let's like make a final stand on the rooftop. That's cool. And like, you know, all these different ideas that never really get done in film. But Dawn of the Dead did it. Like they all got, and I realized it was based off the original George A. Romero's movie,
of course,
from '76, which is another great film. But in 2004, they were able to make these massive hordes. I love the scene where they're on the roof shooting celebrity zombies. That's hilarious.
Yeah, like using the whiteboard to be like shoot Burt Reynolds, whatever. Yeah, that's so fun.
So funny. It's great.